played this fall. The Big Ten and Pac-12 have already said the season will be postponed. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin says House Speaker Nancy Pelosi made clear in a phone call with him today that she was unwilling to resume talks on a new round of coronavirus aid. Wall Street at the close, all major indexes ending the day in the green. The Dow gained 289 points, the Nasdaq up 229. The S&P briefly traded above its record closing high, ending the day plus 46 points. America is listening to Fox News.
2020 hasn't let up, but we have to keep this economy rolling. NetSuite will help your business make that happen. That's why over 21,000 companies, including Boll & Branch, makers of the world's softest sheets, choose NetSuite by Oracle, the world's #1 cloud business system. NetSuite gives you visibility and control over your financials, HR, inventory, e-commerce, and more. Everything you need all in one place. We talked to David Reed, CFO of Boll & Branch, about how they use NetSuite.
Before NetSuite, we were stitched together with spreadsheets and hope. Now I have only one source of truth for our financials, HR, inventory, and supply chain. Because NetSuite is cloud-based, working from home didn't change a thing. We're still bringing affordable luxury into homes all across America. I'm now closing the books 5 to 10 times faster thanks to NetSuite.
NetSuite surveyed hundreds of business leaders and assembled a playbook of the top strategies they're using as America reopens for business. Receive your free guide, 7 actions businesses need to take now, and schedule your free product tour at netsuite.com/Fox.
Researchers say what we've been told about how far to stay away from people during the pandemic may not be accurate.
6 feet has been a convention of social distancing in the midst of coronavirus, but a study shows now 6 feet might not be far enough. Researchers at the University of Florida in Gainesville say they were able to detect active virus in the air as far as 16 feet away from COVID-19 patients. The scientists say they need more information and still need to have other scientists review their work, but the initial findings would suggest more distance could be needed when being social. In Broward County, Florida, Eben Brown, Fox News.
Federal charges filed against 3 men prosecutors say threatened and intimidated women who accused R&B singer R. Kelly of abuse. Michael Williams, Richard Arline, and Donnell Russell face a variety of charges. Kelly has denied ever abusing anyone. A billionaire media mogul has died.
Sumner Redstone has died. He was 97. He started with a family-owned drive-in movie theater company, National Amusements, and turned it into a media empire that included CBS, Viacom, Showtime, MTV, Nickelodeon, Comedy Central, Paramount Pictures, Radio, the Blockbuster movie rental chain, and Simon & Schuster. He was one of America's richest men. Forbes estimated his personal fortune at more than $6 billion. He's credited with popularizing multiplex cinemas and with the phrase, content is king. Janiko Sola, Fox News.
Hundreds of thousands of people in Iowa and Illinois are still without power 2 days after a windstorm tore through the Midwest. The storm, known as a derecho, killed 2 people as it ripped through eastern Nebraska, across Iowa and parts of Wisconsin, Indiana, and Illinois. I'm Lisa Lacera, and this is Fox News.
Is your child defiant, independent, annoyingly inquisitive? After a long, hard day of following the rules, who wants to deal with troublesome kids? 49% of children suffer from oppositional defiant disorder, or ODD. Symptoms of ODD include independent thought, rampant creativity, and failure to submit to authority. But now there's a solution. The good people at Pilfer can help you with their time-release, once-daily capsule, Compliacin. Your child won't be able to form his own opinions, let alone express them. It maintains your child's ability to go to a state-run school and perform simple tasks around the house. You won't have to worry about parenting, and the school won't have to deal with your kid asking questions. Compliacin. You'll go from this.
Quit telling me what to do! Quit telling me what to do! Quit telling me what to do!
To this.
Good morning, Mother. I love going to school. And this week we're learning all about how the government is our federal family and they're here to help us.
Compliacin. Talk to your school psychiatrist and ask for it by name.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live. You can bring up whatever you want. All you got to do, dial in toll free here Our number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Finally, we can talk tonight about some news that doesn't have anything to do with COVID-19 and masks and all the insanity that's been going on around us. We can finally talk about some insanity coming out of California in the form.
That's usually where insanity comes from,
and New York State, of course. But yeah, in this case, it's California on a judge ordering Uber and Lyft and presumably any other rideshare services operating in California to reclassify their drivers as employees. This is kind of a case that we've been watching sadly develop over the years. We can talk about that in detail. And then, of course, there's plenty of stupid mask rules. We've got a special guest that we are expecting here in just moments, and I believe he's joined us. We're gonna take his call without screening it here, just because, well, he's a guest.
I took him last night at work.
He was expected here. Brock, are you with us?
I am. Can you hear me?
We got you loud and clear. Brock Pierce is with us here from Brock.vote. Brock, you appeared on an episode of Free Talk Live from some Bitcoin conference or another in the past. It was D3, okay. That was a while back. And so it's been a little while. We heard the news that you were running for president this year.
We've talked about it a few times now.
Yep, and normally we don't have politicians on the show, so it's unusual that we would actually have any politician on. Like, you're in the ranks of Ron Paul here. Like, there really aren't any other politicians we've ever had on the show. So I just, I'm not trying to...
we did have on Jo Jorgensen.
True, I forgot about her. Yeah, we did have her too. But with the exception of like some pretty libertarian folks, we don't bring politicians on here. So I want to welcome you back to Free Talk Live. Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me back. And I guess as someone running for office, the fact that I've already been on before hopefully qualifies me.
It's helpful.
Well,
I've got to say.
You're here, so you're obviously qualified. And you're a Bitcoin person. I mean, that's where we first ran into. You were, I would say, probably somewhat of an early adopter in the world of cryptocurrency. Some people may remember your name from some classic movies from yesteryear. But these days, you're in the world of Bitcoin and apparently running for president. What was it that motivated you, Brock?
Well, there's a bunch of reasons, but I'd say really just being concerned about the state of the world today. I look around and I am very worried about our collective future. I'm a father of 2 young girls. And so that, just wondering what kind of world is going to be left behind for them and what kind of world will there be for the generations that follow, if there will be any world at all. And so, that's a big sort of motivation for me. We face a number of sort of existential threats. I'll focus on, call it one of the technology ones. Technology is changing the world. It's changing the world rapidly. And I am watching regulators make decisions. I don't know if you saw what happened today, but the CEO of Uber announced they might be shutting down Uber in the state of California.
Oh, yeah, excellent. I'm glad to hear that because we were actually going to cover that story tonight, and I hadn't heard the update.
Yeah, well, I mean, the CEO announced that they may be, shutting down in California.
All right.
What choice do they have now?
Yeah, they have to.
Yeah, I mean, it's that. But this is as someone in, call it the Bitcoin space, in the crypto and blockchain space, technology is changing the world rapidly.
Sure.
And we need leadership that actually understands what's happening, that can bridge the gap to allow innovation to occur, to allow innovation to flourish. And what you're seeing in California there is an example of something that is stifling innovation, and it will push that innovation away. I think that we're living through the 4th industrial revolution, and I would like to see America as a beneficiary of this change. We've been the capital of innovation. I believe we have, the choice is ours to stay it, and decisions that are being made by our government and regulators that may be overstepping based upon, call it old systems, incumbent players, lobbyists, is not going to serve our collective future.
Okay, so let's create a potential future here. Brock gets elected, and we can talk about how that's even going to be possible because that's a big challenge for an independent candidate. But let's just say you go ahead and you get elected. There's an amazing sea change. People actually pay attention to third-party candidates.
Angels come down, and we get blessed.
Yeah, so we actually get a Bitcoiner in public office in the most powerful position in all the federal government. And New Hampshire passes, which is where we live, by the way. We're here in Keene, New Hampshire, southwest corner of New Hampshire. The state of New Hampshire comes forward with a constitutional amendment to withdraw from the United States. What does Brock Pierce, as president, have to say about that?
Well, it's an interesting one. So clearly, I've been on the front lines, focused on how do we build distributed or decentralized systems, which means that I think it's important that we decentralize. It's less about centralized control, command and control. We're seeing that it's not a resilient architecture. We look at these risks around our energy grids today, and a host of issues that we're seeing. And so, generally speaking, I believe in giving more power to the local government, and then the state government, and then, least of all at a federal level is just philosophically where I come from. In terms of succession from the United States, I guess the question is when. Are we talking in the next term, or are we talking 2024 to 2028?
Whenever you're in office.
I mean, let's say effective immediately.
Yeah, as soon as possible.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting discussion. I mean, clearly, Tim Draper has publicly endorsed me. Tim Draper, I don't know if you
follow. He's like a big investment guy, right, in the tech world?
Yeah, crypto tech, yeah.
Yeah, he's the Draper family has probably done more in 3 generations of supporting entrepreneurs and innovation than any other family, certainly in terms of visibly, probably the main supporters of the American dream. And so, and then quite a bit internationally, big Bitcoiner, and he's endorsed, but he put forward a proposal to, break California up. He's been putting forth a bunch of these sort of big, bold ideas. Cool. And so what I would say is I don't have, the answers to everything, but I'm always interested in having that conversation about why. I'm open-minded, right? I'm willing to suspend, belief. I'm not limited by the status quo. And
that's a pretty good political answer to the question, Brock. I'll give you credit for that. But
here's how I'd answer.
Here's the way you look at. Here's the way you look at it.
By the way, please tell me what you think.
What I would
like
say
what you
is
had to say.
I'd love to meet with somebody to talk about whatever the grievances are that New Hampshire has, because I mean, the idea that New Hampshire goes from 0 to secession in just in the blink of an eye in the course of one sentence is pretty.
Well, that's what we were talking about.
It's ridiculous.
He was going to get elected.
I know, and I'm just saying
was going to happen. I didn't say it would take one sentence. It may
I'd
take
like to
3
meet
years.
with the governor of New Hampshire and see what he has to say.
I didn't ask you.
I'm just saying.
So the question is, New Hampshire's going to leave. What do you as president do about it? We're leaving. Are you going to roll in troops, or are you going to say, see you later?
There we go, ambulance going by. It's a good question. I mean, I live in Puerto Rico, and so it's definitely an interesting question, right? So in 1898, at the end of the Spanish War, the Spanish handed over essentially a number of countries that became U.S. territories. The Philippines and Cuba being the most interesting because those were U.S. territories. Cuba obviously went through their Castro revolutionary period and left the U.S. The Philippines at the end of World War II were granted their, sort of sovereignty and independence. But in that environment, the Philippines was able to maintain a relationship with the United States, seeking military protection and all of the sorts of things that they needed. And so I think the right answer there is to again, I think as proposed, have a conversation with the governor as soon as possible.
Stand by, Brock. Can you stick with us here for another segment? We got time for you.
Of course.
All right, more with Brock Pierce here in a moment. He's with us. His website, Brock.vote, or apparently brockthevote.com, which is great. There's more on the way here. This is Free Talk Live. If you've got a question, you can get on the lines.
News from news.bitcoin.com. Goldman Sachs warns that the U.S. dollar is on the path to lose world reserve currency status. Experts say that Bitcoin will continue to rise to as much as $20,000 this year. Coinbase reports more institutional investors are buying cryptocurrency. Cashgames.bitcoin.com announces a $3,000 leaderboard tournament. Bitcoin.com is your source for getting started with cryptocurrencies, getting a wallet, buying Bitcoin Cash, mining, and all the latest cryptocurrency news at news.bitcoin.com.
Do you want more businesses accepting Bitcoin Cash and Dash? Now with AnyPay, you earn passive income for every purchase at those businesses. Finally, a financial incentive to spread Bitcoin Cash and Dash. You made it happen, so you get the rewards. Download the AnyPay Cash Register app and add your cryptocurrency wallet addresses. Then install it at a real-life business and tell us what you did at anypayinc.com. anypayinc.com.
Got shaving irritation? Shave Secret shaving oil can help stop it. Shave Secret doesn't cost much and is an all-American product. My name is Chuck Howard, and I developed Shave Secret and pioneered its use starting back in 1991. Ingrown hairs drove me nuts for years. Shaving oil changed all that. Why put up with ingrown hairs, bumps, red rash, nicks, and cuts? Shave Secret provides men and women with what we believe is the best shave ever. Our proprietary blend of 100% natural base and essential oils, plus a hint of menthol, was designed to help eliminate shaving irritations like ingrown hairs, bumps, red rash, nicks, and cuts. We'll lose those shaving irritations. Available at Super Walmart, H-E-B, Wegmans, Giant Eagle, Discount Drug, Navy and Marine Exchanges, Amazon, and ShaveSecret.com. Use the code FTL for Free Talk Live and get a discount. Shave Secret, the best shave ever.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
It's Free Talk Live, and you can bring up anything you want here, although your calls will be held unless you've got a question for Brock Pierce, who is with us. He's running for president. Website is brock.vote. And in the studio with you, it's Ian,
Aria,
and Mark.
Free Talk Live is brought to you by Bitcoin.com, which has a variety of very useful features, including like a nice little get introduced, get started kind of thing to teach you about Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash and cryptocurrency, just kind of in general. It's a great place to go and get started in the world of cryptocurrency because it's definitely not too late. A lot of people will look at the price of one Bitcoin, which today is just over $11,000 per Bitcoin, and say, well, I can't afford that. It's too late for me to get into this. No, you can get a fraction of a Bitcoin. That's not a problem. You really need to learn the basics, though. So get on over to bitcoin.com to do that. We've got Brock Pierce here with us via our Discord server at discord.lrn.fm. You sound great, Brock, and you are down in, is it Puerto Rico right now?
No, I'm back in my home state where I was born and raised of Minnesota.
Oh, wow.
We were here. I wanted to hand deliver the petition, right? I'm getting on the ballot in all these states through the old-fashioned process of actually going door to door, being out front of the grocery stores, collecting signatures, old-fashioned petitions, not through a political party, which during COVID
is hard to do.
is no small feat.
Yeah.
And just to tell you how rigged our political system is, take New York, for example. In the state of New York, you needed 15,000 signatures usually, right?
Yeah.
That's a big number. That's a lot of signatures.
Right.
And so in COVID, that's like almost an impossible number of signatures just for one state.
Yep.
And so in April, as New York was being hit, harder than anywhere in the world with COVID, what does the governor do? Instead of decreasing the number and saying, hey, let's allow electronic signatures, let's go from 15,000 to 1,500, he said, I'm going to increase it to 45,000 to make sure no independent candidate can run here.
Oh, New York.
And I could keep going through story after story. As someone that is like walking through the fire, right, in the heart of the beast, seeing the system, the two-party system is rigged.
Oh, yeah.
I am fully committed to supporting independent candidates through this election, 2022, 2024. If you've followed my career at all, I am not a quitter. And I wanted to answer one other thing you mentioned earlier, which is there any chance, right? Is this possible? And so I've been talking to the top sort of political strategists and such, and, they're like, Brock, you're like a serious guy. You make crazy things happen. So I'm kind of taking you seriously, but I don't know why I should. What can you possibly do with the time that you have? And I go, well, did you know that you don't have to win the election to become president? And all of a sudden they're like, what? Who? How? I go, well, you understand how our electoral process works, right? In our general election, it runs off the Electoral College vote. You need to win a majority of the Electoral College vote. Majority. Right. And they're like, okay, keyword majority.
271 or something, right?
270, because there's 538, 270. So what happens in a tie? In a tie, it's 269 to 269. This is what happened in season 5 of the television show Veep. But more importantly, it happened in the year 1800, Thomas Jefferson versus Aaron Burr. Also, if a third-party candidate, such as myself and my running mate, Carla Ballard, who happens to be in the car with me, who is a descendant of Aaron Burr, by the way, if a third party were to win even one state, just one state, it becomes possible that no one wins a majority. If a third party were to win 3 states, it becomes likely. And so our strategy is not to win the election. Our strategy is to win between 1 and 3 states so that no one wins the election. All of a sudden, these political advisors are like, no one has ever tried that before. There's never been a politician running for president that they're aware of that hasn't tried to win or run a national campaign.
That's interesting.
We are running a campaign targeting on 15 states using data-driven. So Brittany Kaiser, the great hack, is one of the campaign managers. And so we are a data-driven, technology-forward, digital DNA type of group that does crazy stuff on the front lines.
But don't they have something? Hold on, Brock. I mean, that's very exciting. It sounds very interesting. But don't they have like a system to deal with this? Like they flip a coin or something like that?
Yeah. What happens when you don't get when somebody doesn't get a majority? Where's it go?
What do they do?
So I'm pretty sure like somebody votes on it. I would guess that it's the U.S. House of Representatives.
Yeah, it's the 12th Amendment. And so it's the House of Representatives. So what happens is they kick it to the House, and the top 3 candidates that have at least 1 electoral vote are then the candidates to be decided amongst.
Okay.
But it doesn't run on the electoral sort of like scale.
Right.
Each state gets 1 vote. And so you have 50 votes. One of the 3 candidates needs to get 26 votes. And most of our data, if this strategy works, suggests that it will be split. And so 100% of the time that the House had to choose amongst 3 candidates, 100% of the time they chose the third place candidate as president, as a compromise.
Yeah.
Now that's all of once, but it still is 100% president.
I think it's 3 times. I thought there were 3 times that this occurred in history that there was an electoral tie.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so in the year 1800, and then the last time that we had a 3-party race tie was in the year 1824, and they chose John Quincy Adams as the third place to be president instead of Andrew Jackson, who was in first place. But Andrew Jackson did come back to win in 1828. And so the political minds are kind of looking at me going, who are you? I go, well, I build systems. I'm a systems designer. I study history too. And they're like, wow, you actually have a strategy that may not be probable, may not be likely, but wow, it's possible. You actually have a strategy that is within reach. They're like, you could break the 2-party system. This is interesting.
All right.
You're one crazy man, but we like it.
I like crazy like that around here. That's good.
Yeah, I think that, okay, so I'm curious, which states are you going to target?
So we're targeting 15 states.
Okay.
New Hampshire, I wish was on my list.
Me
I
too.
wish was on my list. I so wish, because this is such a New Hampshire move. But New Hampshire's ballots closed so early that unfortunately we didn't get on New Hampshire. There's still a small chance that through some miracle, back to the angel stuff that you mentioned earlier, that something happens. But we're looking at Wyoming, which is a blockchain crypto pro-legislative state.
Yep.
We're looking at my home state of Minnesota. I'm here. Alaska, Vermont, Utah, a whole host of states. We're using data at Colorado. One of the things that separates us from, I think, both of your major party candidates is we are pro-cannabis. I think I've put out there already the idea of legalizing cannabis federally on day one. And I haven't said it officially.
What about other substances?
But the other idea that we're talking about is like full-on pardon and expunging the records of every cannabis criminal in the country.
Okay, what about every...
what about like psilocybin shrooms?
Yeah, what about every drug, nonviolent drug criminal? How about pardoning them all?
Yeah, so this is also, again, I'm a supporter, a substantial supporter of MAPS, if you're familiar with that organization.
Multidisciplinary
He's a customer.
Psychedelic studies.
Yeah, and so I'm a big believer in Rick Doblin and the work that they're doing around PTSD and the impact it has. I mean, we're one step away from FDA approval because the data is that compelling and it's that effective in treating PTSD.
Brock,
and
do
we
you
have
want to stay or do you got to go? Your call. Stay?
I'll stay. I'll stay.
More
Let's
with
keep
Brock
going.
Pierce. He's with us here from Brock.vote. If you want to join the discussion, if you've got a question for him, he's running for president, and he's got an interesting strategy, I got to say. The number here is 855-450 free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
Do you want more businesses accepting Bitcoin Cash and Dash? Now with AnyPay, you earn passive income for every purchase at those businesses. Finally, a financial incentive to spread Bitcoin Cash and Dash. You made it happen, so you receive the rewards. Download the AnyPay Cash Register app and add your cryptocurrency wallet addresses. Then install it at a real-life business and tell us what you did at AnyPayInc.com. AnyPayInc.com.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. DIVI Project.org.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgoristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agorist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agorist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with AgoristHosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agris Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. Toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. You can call about anything you want, but if you're calling about something besides a question for presidential candidate Brock Pierce, who is on the Discord lines with us here, you will have to hold on until we are done with that interview, but then we will get to you over at discord.lrn.fm if you want to call in our Discord lines. And if you want to call in with a question for Brock, you can call 855-450-FREE like freedom. By the way, I want to say thanks to Nahor, who is a silver amplifier, and thank you to Nahor for amping the show. AMP stands for Advertise, Market, and Promote. It's a way that you can get behind us for $5 a month like Nahor did and help us get on more radio stations. We're close to 200. I think we got like 195 or thereabouts at the moment, and we can have 300. It is possible. It just takes time. It takes money. It takes effort, and our amplifiers help with that, so we definitely appreciate it, and you get some cool perks too. Just go to amp.freetalklive.com to get on board there. That's ampamp.freetalklive.com. So Brock is back with us here, and you said you're in Minnesota tonight on a campaign stop to turn in some petitions and that sort of thing. How many ballots of the 15 states you're focusing on are you already qualified on?
Oh, those are basically in the bag now. They're not. I mean, it'll be over the next month or so. You'll watch. By the way, I'm not just in Minnesota. Mm-hmm. I'm in Minneapolis, and I am 1 block away from the George Floyd Memorial, where the autonomous. I'm about to walk through what was the autonomous zone. I'm not sure if it's still an autonomous zone.
Anything on fire?
Not that I can see yet, because I'm still on the. I want to make sure that I give you all my time and attention, and I want to make sure to also amp you guys up. I'm a fan of the work that you do. You run a wonderful, wonderful show.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
I love what you do.
Let's come back to the thing, but we don't have to talk about Free Talk Live anymore. I appreciate that. Let's talk about what you were saying about drug criminals, specifically cannabis. You said you were behind MAPS. I mean, that's the Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Studies. I think that's what it stands for. They do great work. So I totally agree with you there. Does that mean that Brock Pierce, if you were elected as president, would within the first week or so, sign pardons for all victimless criminals who are nonviolent in federal prison?
I can't commit to that yet, but that's the conversation that
would you
that
commit
I'm
to
having.
a pardon for Ross Ulbricht?
That's an interesting one. Not first in the list. We'd start with maybe Edward Snowden and work our way through.
He was my next on the list.
How long does it take to sign a pardon, though?
Not long. And so what I would encourage everyone listening that cares, right? These conversations are on the table, right? If anyone was ever going to do it, it's more likely this crew than any other crew that you've got listed right now. Because I'm not personally a believer in the war on drugs. I don't believe that drugs are a criminal justice issue. I believe it's a mental health and social issue. And how do we assist people? And I also don't believe that all things we call drugs are drugs. I think some of those things are proving to be medicines. And I think some of the things we call medicines are looking more like drugs. We have an opioid epidemic in this country. And I certainly don't think spending $60,000 to $80,000 a year throwing people into jail or prison for something that is not harming others is the right answer. If you take a look at countries like Portugal, look at the work being done in Switzerland, we now have pretty, I think we've got real statistics. We've got real data, empirical data that's going back more than 2 decades. And I think that this needs to end. But I'd like to invite all of you to participate in this conversation starting next week. Some of the topics that we just mentioned are going to be live, and I invite you to participate in the conversation to figure out what matters to you. Unlike any other presidential candidates you've had, we are literally giving you a voice. We believe your voice matters, your voice counts, and we are putting forth our policy positions into a collaborative platform where you can comment, edit, debate, etc. And so,
Brock,
I
you're
want to
singing the
hear
song.
what you think about each of these.
You're singing the tune that I definitely want to hear, but I'm not hearing any commitment from you. So, you are in favor of.
Well, how can you have an open source collaborative discussion about the issues when you just come down and say, this is what I think, and I'm not going to change my mind?
Well, okay, fine.
It's good to have principles and positions, Mark.
You want to have a position.
I gave you my positions. I've said this is what I think, right? I go,
but
I don't see this is working. I think it's causing more harm. Well, I'm saying, let's have this conversation, right? I'm telling you, this is what I think. This is what I've seen.
But as president, your job isn't to have a conversation.
Well, it hasn't been up to this point.
Hold on. It should be. The idea that we believe that the president has the answer to everything. I think what really is what matters most is what is the process to getting to the right answer. I believe in transparency, right? I believe in, okay, I don't know the answer to this question, but let me show you how I get to the answer. Let me show you who the people are that I consult. Are they lobbyists? Or are they people that you've heard of and you have faith and confidence in? And that's why we're holding public town halls. We had one today. We're having another one, national town halls every Wednesday going forward, virtual town halls, which you can find on the website, and then mini town halls on each of these subjects. There will be a mini town hall specifically talking about how do we end the war on drugs, bringing in experts like Rick Doblin. These conversations are going to be had leading up to the election because we want you to be part of the process. Your voice will be heard here.
And I hope that people are able to be brought on board with these ideas. If it's somebody like Rick Doblin presenting these ideas, then surely he's going to be persuasive. Surely he's going to persuade many of the people in that audience that drugs need to be given another look, and they need to be decriminalized and legalized, and the war on drugs needs to end. I don't doubt that is something that would come out of those conversations. I guess my question is, Brock, after how many conversations would you need to have before you would be able to make up your mind and say, yes, I as president will pardon Ross Ulbricht, who, for our listeners who don't know, is the man who created and operated for some amount of time the Silk Road, which was the world's first underground drug and free marketplace on the internet. And he's now in a 2 life sentence plus 40-year prison sentence that will never end unless the president pardons him or commutes his sentence. So, I mean, at what point would you be able to make up your mind about that?
Well, I know Ross's mother. I'm connected to a lot of people in the movement that have been petitioning, lobbying, praying for, gathering, protesting for his freedom. And so I don't think you could ask for a better person than someone that actually is intimately familiar with the situation and is has a mindset that is in line with the reason I guess I'm on this show and been here before. Mm-hmm. And like openly saying, let's have this conversation. How many conversations? I think it's really two parts, right? One is building consensus, right? And is this what, call it, the American people want, right? And then at some point, because you've been put into that position of authority.
Who cares what they want? I care about is it the right thing to do? Is it the right thing to do?
And that's the second point I was going to make is consensus and what is right. It's about justice, right? And it just is. And there is right and there's wrong. And just because something is a law doesn't mean it right. Slavery was legal at one point. So, I mean, this is why our system has to go through continual evolution. What we thought was right yesterday is not necessarily right today and may not be right tomorrow.
So would you pardon Ross Ulbricht?
Well, he's saying that he doesn't know until they've had some kind of...
I don't know.
It's called. We're going to have a town. We're going to have. We're going to hold on. We're going to have a town. Well, if you want
part
to
of the question is, what is right and what is wrong. I mean, is your position that it's right or wrong for Ross to be in prison?
Well, let's get into two pieces of it. On the first piece, there's the Silk Road, and there's the debate of the Silk Road. The nuanced situation with Ross is the hits, and getting into the detail. The hiring of
the alleged yet never proved.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But this is where it's not so cut and dry, right? There's a conversation that has to be had, and I want to have this conversation. I invite you to come on our town hall show, and let's continue this.
And that's happening. That's happening. Is it tonight?
It already happened. We wrapped up an hour before.
When's the next one?
Next Wednesday is the next national one, and I will follow up with you to make sure that you're a part of this. And I would love to have you be a participant in the town hall, not just a viewer.
Mark's got another question for you if you want to hang on.
Yes.
Stick with us here. More with Brock Pierce. Brock.vote is his website.
Hi. Pilla. I started fighting the IRS over 40 years ago when they tried to seize my mother's house. I sued the IRS and won. I beat the IRS then, and I've been beating them ever since. I wrote the book on tax debt settlement, and I've helped thousands of people deal with tax problems they thought might never be solved. I can help you too. If you owe taxes you can't pay, don't wait another day. There's no such thing as a hopeless tax case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX or go to my website, danpilla.com. That's danpilla.com, danpilla.com.
Are you ready for what's next? It's likely coming. More food shortages, power outages, grocery stores closed, social unrest. Ask yourself, do you have enough food and supplies on hand to last at least 30 days? Most Americans do not, but you can. Avoid the panic of the last-minute rush. Order your 4-week supply of emergency food today from mypatriotsupply.com. Starvation or dependency on the government are your only alternatives. Avoid those and the pain of being unprepared. Go to mypatriotsupply.com right now. Build your emergency food supply with meals that last up to 25 years in storage, shipped discreetly to your door. Folks that know what's coming are using today to prepare. There's time for you to do the same. That's mypatriotsupply.com, the original Patriot Preparedness Company. mypatriotsupply.com.
Have you ever thought about turning your Glock, XD Family, or 1911 handgun into a semi-automatic carbine? It only takes about 30 seconds. The MechTech Carbine Upper is classified as an accessory and can be delivered right to your doorstep with no FFL or background check required. It's the world's most versatile pistol accessory. Build your custom upper today. Simply go to handgunconversion.com. That's handgunconversion.com.
The FBI has successfully executed a raid on the Visa Corporation, exposing what could be the largest credit card scam in U.S. history. According to authorities, the Visa syndicate for years fooled millions of Americans by issuing convincing-looking credit cards carefully designed to dupe consumers into spending far more money than they had. Investigators believe the fraudulent corporation also lured victims in with enticing rewards programs and free gifts, thereby trapping them in a spiral of debt they could never hope to repay. According to the results of a groundbreaking new study, 96% of humans would rather be a singing, dancing animatronic bear. The study finds that a great majority of people on the planet would prefer to trade in their regular lives for one in which they sat on a plastic log, strummed a banjo, and sang songs on a stage with all their goofy bear friends. Respondents also stated that not being a sentient human being with feelings of doubt, sadness, and pain contributed to the decision.
This is the Onion News Network.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Do you want more businesses accepting Bitcoin Cash and Dash? Now with AnyPay, you earn passive income for every purchase at those businesses. Finally, a financial incentive to spread Bitcoin Cash and Dash. You made it happen, so you receive the rewards. Download the AnyPay Cash Register app and add your cryptocurrency wallet addresses. Then install it at a real-life business and tell us what you did at anypayinc.com. anypayinc.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, and you are able to call in, ask a question to Brock Pierce. Brock.vote is his website. That is where you can go to learn more about his presidential candidacy. And he's not running with some political party. He's doing this independently, attempting to target specific states with an interesting strategy to, in a sort of a tied situation with the electoral votes, possibly throw some support towards him in a tiebreaker that would have to be done by, it sounds like, the U.S. Senate or something like that. So we can continue. If you've got a question, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. He's a crypto guy, and I think we wanted to get into a little bit of that area. Mark, I know you had a question for Brock.
Yeah. Well, first, I think that Brock's going to be on about 15 state ballots at this point. What about the other 35? What if people, hear this and want to vote? What does a write-in even do? Have you looked into this?
We'll be a write-in. We'll be on the ballot or a write-in in over 40 states, so almost everywhere, with only a handful of states that make it especially hard for independents. And by the way, every time an independent gets success in a state, what do? They raise
make
the
it
bar
harder.
a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, they make it much harder. And so it's an interesting thing to watch. And yeah, no. Please,
you might be the last independent campaign in American history if you do well.
It's certainly possible, but I believe that we ultimately need to transcend or rise above partisan politics. I think we need a political revolution in this country. I think that the answer is not left or right. It's how do we go forward? And this idea that for me to win, you have to lose, that isn't the answer. I think we need to just basically leave partisan politics behind. Go check out this website, liberate.us or liberate.us. The video there that's anonymously created talks about this political nonviolent revolution that is necessary.
Mark, did you have a crypto-related
question?
Well,
what about so which one of the cryptocurrencies is going to be the national currency of the United States?
Well, I mean, I'm one of the founders of Tether, which we invented the stable coin. We're doing about $10 trillion a year in transactional volume.
So would the dollar be the cryptocurrency of choice? Is that what I'm hearing?
No. So I'm again, my thinking is, and I encourage us to all have a town hall gathering to engage in conversation to make sure that everyone's voices are heard. I don't want to be the authority on everything. I want to make sure that we are connecting, communicating, and hearing from those that have strong opinions, at least to some degree. I believe in creating that type of environment. I don't think that the government having a monopoly on money is. I don't currently think that's the right answer.
Okay.
Would you abolish the Fed?
The Federal Reserve, you mean?
So yeah, the Fed is an interesting one, right? Because it's not 1913; it's the year 2020. So let's just play out two theories, right? Two ideas: end the Fed and audit the Fed. If you ended the Fed,
would you do either?
Hold on, but if you ended the Fed, who manages the U.S. dollar? You give it to Treasury. Do you think the U.S. government's going to do a better job of it or a worse job of it? I'm not saying I have the answer. These are the things that I contemplate. I've been thinking about this stuff for years. And so I don't have a definitive answer. Do I believe it? You know, one of my pillars of my entire philosophical view in life that applies to everything is I believe in truth and therefore transparency. And so I do believe that accountability is a very, very important attribute to building systems that work well. And so I definitely think that auditing the Fed and making sure that decisions are being made in a more transparent, less opaque fashion is a good answer. I believe in shedding light, on shadow. And so that is my life for over 10 years has been dedicated to that concept. So I clearly think that is a very important conversation that should be had. I think ending the Fed doesn't actually solve anything in the short term, right? What is the long term?
That's Bitcoin fan?
Of course I am.
Well, we have an alternative currency already that people could use if the Fed was abolished.
Well, I don't think that's so simple. We have a U.S. First of all, Bitcoin doesn't scale to basically be usable by everyone in the country today. It's not easy enough to use by everyone. Security flaws still exist. Generally, Bitcoin is not ready for prime time. I've been working on this. I mean, I'm as big an advocate for it as you can get.
Bitcoin
the reality
is effed up right now with the fees the way they are.
Yeah, we just aren't ready yet. That's the reality. None of these systems are yet ready, but I don't think we're far away. It's possible within this next presidential term of 4 years that crypto could be ready to scale up to a level that it could really be. Because I've never been involved in crypto as a tool to bring down the system. I've believed that the system is at risk. I'm concerned about the system failing. And so I'm focused on things like Bitcoin and otherwise as a plan B, as a backup system, so that if the system fails, the whole thing doesn't collapse on us. At least we've got, I believe in parallel systems, right? You've got the old world and the new world. These are parallel operating systems.
So suffice it to say, Brock, as president, would not do anything to attack the cryptocurrency universe.
I mean, it would make me an incredible hypocrite, which I don't have a history of being.
Okay, good.
What if the majority of people at your town halls wanted you to ban cryptocurrency?
Well, I mean, it would depend how representative.
So there is a line where you will enact your own beliefs and disregard the will of the people?
Well, there is at some point what is right. Right, because you have to also.
But pardoning Ross Ulbricht is not among those things.
Hold on,
got it.
I have not said it's not. I've said let's have that conversation.
Gotcha.
And as someone that is actually very familiar with it, as someone that knows his mother, and amongst other things.
What about Julian Assange?
Julian Assange is, I think, a much easier issue. Certainly one that has less complications.
So do you have an opinion?
Again, they're all the same. I'm throwing it out there that I would like to have a conversation about Edward Snowden, Julian Assange, Manning, Ross Ulbricht. I don't think that these should be standalone town halls. I think let's actually get together and talk about these people that some consider to be villains, some consider to be heroes.
The only problem with talking about them, and maybe you're just talking about doing it before you're elected, but the only problem with talking is every day you have these conversations, they're still sitting in a prison cell.
Well, there's nothing I could do about it until after the election anyway. So
that's true.
I actually think if you care, the fact that we're having the conversation helps. The minute we stop,
that's true.
The minute we stop saying their names, and the minute we stop having the conversation, that's when they rot.
Brock, is taxation extortion?
Taxation is also one of those interesting, questions. I mean, obviously, it was not something that our founding fathers built into the system. It's something that came, more about a little over 100 years ago, and it's a system that seems to be out of control. So here's a my view on a lot of systems. Because if you double click on any aspect of the government and you go in on that, call it that piece of the puzzle, you start looking at it and you're like, wow, this looks unfortunately pretty messed up. And this is unfortunate. I wish things were not like this. I wish things, ran smooth and things were done well. The tax one is super interesting. Just here's a couple of interesting data points. There is no single human being on earth that understands the tax code. It is so complicated that no one understands even a significant piece of it. It's so complicated that if you call up the IRS and say, hey, I got this question, I'm trying to find my tax returns, the odds are, I think, something like 50-50 that they will advise you to do something criminal.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because the IRS won't even give you accurate advice half the time. I mean, it's at what point is the absurdity there that we have to reevaluate things? And so I look at a lot of systems kind of like buying a house. If you buy a house, you look at it, you say, do I want to remodel it? What parts do you keep, or do you knock it down and rebuild? The government, unfortunately, when it does things, it doesn't actually remove anything when it remodels. It just keeps adding and adding and adding. And if you're building, equally inward and outward at the same time, after the amount of time that we've been building stuff, eventually, you're in a 1-by-1 room cell in the center of your home. And it with 30-foot walls.
Well, government is insane, and its incentives are backwards, and it's definitely crazy. Brock, if people want to learn more about you, you've got updates on your website, you've got town halls, and I'm sure there are ways for people to help out if they've been inspired by you in some way. Your website is brock.vote, and thanks for joining us here on Free Talk Live. Oh, and by the way, I didn't hear the answer. Is taxation extortion?
Again, it's
a conversation we need to have.
It's another one of those conversations, and clearly, right. I have an opinion. I have an opinion, and it's one that is clearly.
Maybe someday we'll find out what it is. Thank you, Brock. I do appreciate the time tonight. Good luck. We got to elect him to find out what the opinions are.
Well, I'd rather do him than anybody else.
Well, Jo Jorgensen was pretty good, too. She had some good ones.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had gotten involved sooner? Well, now is your chance to be a part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was originally supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system, the way we would all pay one another without having to trust any third party. But instead, over time, it mostly became a store of value. That's because every 10 minutes, the Bitcoin network must put all transactions into a block, and that block can only hold so much. If crypto is to become mainstream, for people to use it for everyday payments, we need a new architecture, one that is as secure as Bitcoin while being far more scalable. Check out intercoin.org to find out more and maybe pick up some of those coins for yourself.
Should you be able to earn an honest living free from senseless government interference? The Institute for Justice thinks so. That's why we've spent years defending hard-working men and women from pointless government regulations. Nationwide, IJ has created opportunity by reducing government power, but there is still more work to be done. Visit our website today at ij.org. Let IJ take care of the government so you can take care of your business.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next, after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Their first event. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. The Democratic presidential ticket makes their first joint appearance.
Without the crowd and fanfare that usually accompanies a big campaign moment, Joe Biden appeared for the first time with his running mate at a Wilmington, Delaware high school.
Her story is America's story. Different from mine in many particulars, but also
not so different in the essentials.
California Senator Kamala Harris is the first woman of color to join a major party's presidential ticket and spoke about her parents, both immigrants, to the U.S.
She'd tell us, don't sit around and complain about things. Do something. So I did something.
The Biden campaign says in the 4 hours after Harris was announced as running mate, the campaign brought in nearly $11 million in fundraising. Jared Halpern, Fox News.
Democrats are not interested in negotiating a new round of COVID-19 aid. That from Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin. He says House Speaker Nancy Pelosi made it clear to him they won't talk unless the White House agrees to their $2 trillion proposal.
If the Democrats are focused on politics and don't want to do anything that's going to succeed for the president, there won't be a deal.
Mnuchin on Mornings with Maria on Fox Business. Mnuchin issuing a statement later on saying the administration is willing to move forward, but he says Democrats are not. In a briefing a short time ago, President Trump blasted Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. He says they're holding the American people hostage over money for what he called their radical left-wing agenda that the country doesn't want. A school district in suburban Atlanta has temporarily closed in-person classes at a second of its 6 high schools over an increasing number of cases of COVID-19. Large numbers of students and teachers are now in quarantine. This is students in Gwinnett County are having trouble logging into their online system. America is listening to Fox News.
2020 has been a gut punch to American business. And if you're going to succeed, you need every possible advantage. That's why savvy companies like Moink run on NetSuite by Oracle, the world's #1 cloud business system. With NetSuite, Moink has visibility and control over their financials, HR, inventory, e-commerce, and more. Everything they need, all in one place. So they can deliver ethically raised, delicious meat to homes all across the country. Here's Moink founder, Lucinda Cramsey.
Feeding America is not a job I take lightly. I need to know how my numbers translate to food on folks' tables. So I ain't got no time for a math mistake. NetSuite is my single source of truth. Financials, inventory, and supply chain, all in real time. Americans depend on Moink to keep their families fed, so I depend on NetSuite.
NetSuite surveyed hundreds of business leaders and assembled a playbook called 7 Actions Businesses Need to Take Now. Receive your free playbook and schedule your free product tour at netsuite.com/Fox. That's netsuite.com/Fox.
The people of Lebanon continue to protest days after last week's deadly blast in Beirut.
We saw the 5th straight night of demonstrations. Although tonight there were no clashes, one of the reasons could be because the army has been brought in. Last night, we saw riot police clashing with a number of the demonstrators. They fired tear gas trying to push them down the street. But many of the people here in the streets of Beirut say they will stay out until their demands are met. Despite the fact earlier in the week we saw Hassan Diab, the prime minister, and his entire cabinet resign from their positions, there is still President Michel Aoun, along with a number of other political operatives, including the head of the parliament, that have links to the militant group Hezbollah. Protesters say they want to see a full overhaul of the government, and they are not willing to stop these demonstrations until that happens.
Fox's Trey Yingst in Beirut. 3 Texas service members facing charges in a child prostitution bust.
3 Texas soldiers, part of a group of 9 people arrested over the weekend on charges of child prostitution during a 2-day child trafficking sting operation between police in Killeen, Texas, and the State Department of Public Safety. 2 soldiers from Fort Hood, 25-year-old specialist Anthony Antoine and 30-year-old Private First Class Timmy Jones Jr. facing felony charges, with a misdemeanor charge for a 3rd soldier, 32-year-old Staff Sergeant Pierre Jean, who's assigned to Joint Base San Antonio, Fort Sam Houston. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
One of 2 Wisconsin girls who repeatedly stabbed a classmate because she believed a fictional horror character named Slender Man would attack her family if she didn't kill the girl has lost an appeal. Morgan Geyser was 12 at the time of the 2014 attack, which the victim survived. Geyser's attorney had argued her case should have been tried in juvenile court, but the appeals court judge ruling that it was correct to try the case in adult court. I'm Lisa Lacera. This is Fox News.
Americans everywhere are enjoying their Sundays after successfully completing Mother's Day in less than 20 minutes this morning. Dads were able to wrap up breakfast in bed by 9:18 a.m., giving them plenty of time to mill about the garage for the rest of the afternoon. While children who spent a minute and a half this morning hugging their mothers are currently out playing street hockey. And after completely fulfilling their Mother's Day obligations with a store-bought card, teens are now free to leave and spend the day with their friends. The moms, who were quickly and efficiently lavished with cards, flowers, assurances of love, and 7 full minutes of family togetherness, praised the competency with which the holiday was carried out.
Oh, it was great. Charles and the kids made me feel completely appreciated, but they ended the holiday before I even got out of bed. Guess I'll go water the plants now.
But before the day-long celebration concluded early this morning, moms had their own job to do, making a brief, obligatory phone call to their own mothers.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live. You can bring up whatever you want here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. With you in the studio here tonight, you've got Ian,
Aria, and Mark.
You know, Mark, you were defending Brock Pierce there in the end of the last segment and his complete inability, it seemed, to actually take a position on any of the questions that we asked him throughout the entire hour. And you actually compared him to Joe Jorgensen right at the end, and I was surprised by that. I didn't have much time left in the segment to rebut you. But when we interviewed Joe Jorgensen, she answered,
which I wasn't on,
nearly every single question. The only one she kind of hemmed on was the secession question. So everything else she had a clear answer for, and they were libertarian answers.
What I was hearing from, well, Brock Pierce isn't running as a libertarian.
Okay, but it does say liberty on the front page of his website.
I bet it says liberty on the front page of every person, Biden and Trump's websites too. So what I would say is that it sounds to me like he's running a campaign that is different than things we've seen up to this point, where he intends to give a voice to people, to the chief executive, in ways that they haven't seen before. And I can say that the things that we're doing at this point aren't working. If I have to choose between Brock and Trump and Biden, I know who I'm picking.
But that won't be your choice. You will have Joe Jorgensen likely on the ballot here in New Hampshire.
It's very likely, and I will have to take a New Hampshire ballot. If I get to vote at all, I will be taking a New Hampshire absentee ballot. I've done some research today, and this isn't legal advice, but it appears as though residents of the Commonwealth of Northern Mariana Islands can vote absentee in the state in which they last lived.
But you wouldn't do that because voting is a total waste of time at the federal level.
Well, I mean, is it a waste of time? Not if that's what you want to do.
But you're like on the air all the time telling people who call in.
I tell people that voting is mathematically insignificant, and I tell them that if they want to vote, they should vote. If they don't want to vote, they should not vote.
So you
but
want
the only
to spend
thing that I
extra
really
time.
make a big deal about, like this is the thing that I make a big deal about, is that
the only thing. All right, let's hear it.
When it comes to voting, is that people who do not like voting, who think that you shouldn't vote because reasons.
Okay, but let's just clarify. You've said 1,000,000 times on the air how insignificant the vote is that somebody makes in a federal election.
Yep.
You are going to go out of your way.
I wrote an email
and you're going to pull an absentee ballot. You did research.
What do you mean by pull? I expect it to be sent to me.
You have to request it.
And then
you're going to request an absentee
was.
ballot. You're sending an email to do research about this, so you can now spend time doing something that is statistically
How much time are we
insignificant.
talking about here?
How much time have you put into it so far?
10 minutes.
Okay.
I mean, with the research, I need to know these things, but I'm curious, right? Like, I do want to vote. I've wanted to vote for some time. One of the reasons I picked up and moved my life to New Hampshire was so that I could vote.
Even though it's statistically insignificant.
Yes, you idiot. There's no particular reason I have a gray shirt on. I have a gray shirt on because this is the one I picked out today. Life is full of choices, and almost all of them are insignificant. So what?
Just saying.
Yes, but you didn't spend 10 minutes picking out your shirt only to arrive at an insignificantly colored one.
I spent more than 10 minutes ordering this shirt.
Mark, I don't spend 10 minutes ordering a single article of clothing.
Well, if I don't spend any time on the clothing, I wear the clothing that I get. This particular shirt I liked and I chose.
10 minutes, though?
It takes a while to put in a credit card number and do those things.
Okay,
but probably more a significant act than voting.
Yes, I got a shirt out of it.
Yeah.
The likelihood that I get anything out of pulling an absentee ballot and voting. I mean, Joe Jorgensen will get something. The Libertarian Party will get something.
To Rick. He's been waiting there on the line in Florida. Rick, you're on Free Talk Live.
I hear you.
Hey, you're on the air.
Hold on. Let me get this speaker off.
All right. Pour me a drink, too.
Basically, you texted. I texted you or sent a message.
Okay.
About what you thought about, TikTok.
TikTok, yeah.
What do I think about TikTok
app thing?
And you use NPR as your news source. And that's why I got a little upset, and I sent you a message.
I mean, we've used NPR before, but
to whom did you send this message?
I'm not sure if he even knows he's talking to more than one person. Yeah, it's a good question. To whom did you send the message?
You got 2 or 3 people there, and
Facebook.
Actually that night you had 2 or 3 because after I heard you on down here in Daytona, you were filling in because they were trying to fill in on 93.5.
Thank you, Rick. I appreciate that. So let's get to the question that you had. So regarding,
I don't have a question. I think that the question that you have is you use NPR as a news source.
NPR is a credible news source.
It's a government news source, so I wouldn't call it credible.
It's credible. I mean, it is a news source.
They are as much of a news source as any other biased news source.
Well, you quoted it that night, and that's why I jumped back.
So you're saying people should not use NPR to source news. Is that what you're saying, sir?
Yes, I am, actually. But actually,
now, where do you think news is best sourced from? Is it Fox?
No. Fox is okay.
Okay, all right. What's the best?
But
what is the preferred choice for Rick in Florida?
No.
That was a question. No, it was a question.
The Chinese Communist Party.
They seem like a terrible source.
Huh?
And I sent you the EpicTimes.com.
Right, the Epic Times is a good source if you want to go up against the
Communist Party. With them there.
If you want to talk about China, because that's the Chinese-owned, entity out of Canada.
Well, it's not owned by the Chinese government. The Epic Times is in opposition
not owned by the Chinese
to the Chinese government. So, so you're in support of the Epic Times. We're on board with that one. Give me another one. What's another good one for Rick in Florida?
Oh, Rick in Florida, Gateway Pundit, always.
Gateway Pundit. Okay, is that
an
opinion site?
That's a breaking news site.
Okay.
And
well, Rick, if you've ever got some sort of news you want to talk about, we're happy to talk about it with you. Toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733.
We never did get my opinion on the TikTok thing, and
what
you
thing?
were outraged that
TikTok thing?
TikTok was that Trump was threatening to ban TikTok.
Oh, that. What about it?
And what I would say
is an app. It's one of the top apps in the world.
Yeah, I mean, at this point in time, at this moment in history, the Chinese Communist Party has become a greater threat than they have been previously because of consolidations in power that Xi Jinping has managed to get and these sorts of things. And when being an anti-statist, I'm of the opinion that that is the state that is of greatest threat to human liberty on the planet today.
Really? Have they ever thrown Ross Ulbricht in prison?
They haven't thrown Ross Ulbricht in prison, but they put plenty of activists in prison.
Are they a greater threat to your liberty than the United States government?
Probably not, unless I go over to their little strip of land over there. But
not so much really the greatest threat to you, at least. You're saying to
other
people
I can leave,
elsewhere?
Remember? Like
How nice.
One of the
Some
things,
people can't.
Really? They can't leave America?
Yeah. I don't know if you've heard, but international travel is restricted. And if you don't have a passport, you're pretty much stuck.
Mexico's still taking you.
That's true.
Yeah.
If you can get there.
Yeah, if you've got a car.
So are you in favor of Trump banning TikTok?
I am unsurprised at the political machinations that go on and the overt aspects of it. Like, I'm not going to comment on things that I don't really...
Brock, is that you?
I was going to say, I was getting ready to compliment Mark in case he actually came out with an opinion, because he is a talk show host and he's supposed to have opinions, but it does sound like you've been infected by a politician.
All right, I'll give you a straight answer on this one. Any company that comes out of China, I'm fine with them banning right now.
You are out of your mind.
Just ban it.
Okay, so you've gone full statist.
No.
Didn't you just call yourself an anti-statist a moment ago?
I'm against the state, but when states want to act like states, I hope that they get some more state.
Okay, so let me see if I'm following
That's exactly
you.
what you'll get once the United States government starts banning companies from a particular country, is more states.
So you want the U.S. government to be more like the Chinese government in order to protect you from the Chinese government? Is that what you're saying?
Cry about the United States banning any
First
Chinese
they came
company.
for the Chinese apps.
Yeah, well, good.
Then they came for the communists.
Yep, okay.
And then they came for the Nazis.
Okay, let them all go. You can have them all.
Yeah, good luck, man. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. If they ever come after you, I hope no one stands up for you, man.
You mean the commies and the Nazis and the Chinese Communist Party who weren't going to stand up for me anyway?
You got to have some principles, man. If you want to actually
They're
have
not
the freedom
stand
of
up
speech,
for your ass either,
if you want to
believe
have
it.
the freedom of speech, I don't care. I don't
You won't
require
get
them to. I don't require them to. I will stand up for anyone's freedom. It doesn't matter what their beliefs are. More coming up.
Did you know you can support freedom of speech just by visiting shop.freetalklive.com? You'll see links to Walmart, Love Java, Newegg, and more. Every day, Free Talk Live is at the forefront of the liberty movement as the biggest liberty-oriented talk show in the world, giving you a platform to be heard on any topic. Get listener-only specials without doing anything other than an extra click. Visit shop.freetalklive.com. Use the links and buy what you'd be buying anyway. Take action now. Save and support freedom. Visit shop.freetalklive.com. It's shop.freetalklive.com. Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to divvyproject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from divvyproject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. divvyproject.org. D-I-V-I project.org.
Got shaving irritation? Shave Secret shaving oil can help stop it. Shave Secret doesn't cost much and is an all-American product. My name is Chuck Howard, and I developed Shave Secret and pioneered its use starting back in 1991. Ingrown hairs drove me nuts for years. Shaving oil changed all that. Why put up with ingrown hair, bumps, red rash, nicks, and cuts? Shave Secret provides men and women with what we believe is the best shave ever. Our proprietary blend of 100% natural base and essential oils plus a hint of menthol was designed to help eliminate shaving irritations like ingrown hairs, bumps, red rash, nicks, and cuts. We'll lose those shaving irritations. Available at Super Walmart, H-E-B, Wegmans, Giant Eagle, Discount Drug, Navy and Marine Exchanges, Amazon, and ShaveSecret.com. Use the code FTL for Free Talk Live and get a discount. Shave Secret, the best shave ever.
Phone records, financial and location data, Prism, Tempora, X-Keyscore, Boundless Informant. Hey y'all, Scott Horton here for offnow.org. Now here's the deal. Due to the Snowden revelations, we have a great opportunity for a short period of time to get some real rollback of the national surveillance state. Now they're already trying to tire us by introducing fake reforms in the Congress. And the courts, they betrayed their sworn oaths to the Constitution and Bill of Rights again and again, and can in no way be trusted to stop the abuses for us. We've got to do it ourselves. How? We nullify it at the state level. It's still not easy, but the Off Now project of the 10th Amendment Center has gotten off to a great start. I mean it. There's real reason to be optimistic here. They've gotten their model legislation introduced all over the place, in state after state. I've lost count, more than a dozen. You're always wondering, yeah, but what can we do? Here's something important, something that can work if we do the work. Get started cutting off the NSA support in your state. Go to offnow.org.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. Local.bitcoin.com.
Join the LRN.FM Discord for live chat 24/7 at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything that you want here. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Intercoin's team spent the last decade helping communities release apps to unite their members and coordinate social activity. Now communities can release currencies to coordinate economic activity. They represent a soft but voluntary power, encouraging people to spend the currency on local goods and services that accept it, or to support the community with small fees when cashing out unused coins. Towns already do this to battle globalism, and festivals can create an extended online community that transacts on their own year-round. Intercoin is attempting to regain some of our freedoms that are threatened on the internet and in meat space. We think that's important here on Free Talk Live, so we accepted $40,000 worth of Intercoin tokens from Intercoin Incorporated for advertising. If you think freedom is important too, you can check out Intercoin at intercoin.org and invest in this project if you'd like, or potentially make some big gains possibly if you do that, and just be involved or perhaps shape its future, whatever level you want to get involved at. Intercoin.org. As we go to Rod, he's in Chattanooga, listening on the radio to WGOW. Go ahead, Rod.
Hey, guys, thanks a lot. Just talk a little bit about the Kamala Harris pick. Switching the radio around today before she and Mr. Biden spoke.
Kamala Harris, what? I have to know what you said there.
His selection. Biden selected her as the vice presidential pick.
Yeah, here's my point, guys. On NPR, I stopped counting at time 6. They announced her, talked about what a big deal it was going to be because she was going to be the first African-American vice president if Biden's elected. Guess what, guys? She's not African-American. Her dad's from Jamaica. Her mom's from India.
Didn't I predict
this
yesterday?
It doesn't matter where she's from, but let me ask you this, guys. Why is that all you hear from CNBC, from MSNBC and CNN and NPR and folks like that?
They're actually trying to preempt calls like this. These news sources you're talking about are actually trying to preempt calls by saying conservatives are going crazy about Kamala Harris's race. And
No, you got it backwards. No, that's not right. The conservatives aren't going crazy. It's the liberals who are going crazy talking.
I would say
that's all you hear from these. But guys, and here's my big point. Her dad was from Jamaica, okay? I don't know if you guys are aware of it or not, but her dad's family, some of the biggest slave owners in Jamaica.
I heard about that.
So here's my point. Guys. If Kamala Harris and other folks are for reparations, should Kamala Harris not pay reparations?
She absolutely should. That's a great point. And she's basically
if reparations
still a slave
happen, in all likelihood, Americans would all be paying for them, black, white,
No, but the point he's making is because her family was actually slavers. I don't know what my family did, right? Like, I have no idea if there was anything like that in my family's history. I'm sure a lot of us don't have that in our family histories, at least. But we know for a fact she does, at least according to him. And I've heard this elsewhere about her, in which case she stayed in the family business because being an attorney general is basically being a slaver. People in that role, especially where she was out in California, she shuffled God knows how many people of all colors into the California prison system. So many people under her control when whatever departments of so-called justice she was running there, they put countless people behind bars, many of whom were victimless criminals, and they turned them into slaves. When you put people behind bars, they become your unpaid or slightly barely paid workers. In that if you don't work for the county, like here in New Hampshire, if you don't work for the county, you're going to solitary confinement.
If you're working, not getting paid, and can't leave, you're a slave.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, the 13th Amendment is pretty clear that somebody cannot be forced into indentured servitude unless they've been convicted of a crime.
Now, what's really going to be entertaining...
Which means that, in fact, the 13th Amendment says that they're slaves, too.
What's going to be really entertaining is watching people on the left who 2 months ago were rallying around the idea of cutting the police departments and, defund the cops, and which is a good idea. Okay, they were rallying around these ideas and focusing on the terrible abuse that the police commit against black people, but also, I would say, of all people. Police will arrest and kill and destroy the lives of anybody given the opportunity. Certainly poor people targeted more often than the rich. The police are doing that stuff, and Kamala Harris was in charge of the police. So it's going to be interesting watching the backbending going on as people explain why they're now voting for Kamala Harris, because Joe Biden has already come out and supported the police. During the Black Lives Matter run-up over the last few months, Biden made statements about how he supports the police. He doesn't support defunding the police. He, in fact, supports more funding for the police. Now, again, so does Trump, I'm sure. So which one of them is the bigger cop sucker? I don't know. But one of them's an actual cop, and that's Kamala Harris. So I'm looking forward to seeing this. Somebody posted a tweet from, and I don't know who it was. It might have been like a Hollywood star or some political guy on the on-air, I think it was the on-air chat. I apologize. It's in our Discord server. I wish I had it in front of me, but it showed this guy tweeting 2 years ago about how terrible Kamala Harris was.
Yeah.
And then like 2 days ago, he tweeted again about how great she is.
Yeah, it's amazing the shift, just seeing the same face saying two completely different things. Yep. I did see that same tweet.
Yep.
I guess if I'm forced into talking about Kamala Harris's race, which apparently is what everybody wants to talk about, what I'd like to talk about is, what did Kamala Harris do? Did Kamala Harris make the world a better place by when she had the reins of power
no,
in
not
San
if she's
Francisco?
an attorney general.
And I would suspect that she didn't. So if I'm supposed to care about her race, and I don't, one would presume that other people do. And did she make lives better? Because I hear that it's all about having a black running mate now. Let's just go ahead and take that premise.
How many black people did she put behind bars?
Did Kamala Harris make the lives of black people in San Francisco better by forcing parents, by threatening parents with jail for their kids not going to school for truancy? People who are the most vulnerable, it's most difficult for them to get to school. She thought the best thing to do was to employ the stick of government, as she called it, to threaten people, to get them to send their kids to, well, probably the worst school in a given geographic area.
Yep. I don't know. I got nothing else to say about this woman.
As
she's
to
awful.
whether or not Kamala Harris is an African American or black, well, she's clearly partially black, so okay. Fine.
She's more than likely of African American descent as well.
Yeah. If she's okay, so
the Caribbean was a huge center
European,
of the international slave trade.
I think it's interesting that they're trying to call her Asian in order to lock up the Asian vote when she's Indian. I mean, what? Isn't that kind of insulting to Indians? I mean, are Indians calling themselves Asians these days? What happened to the Indian
It's close
brand?
to Asia.
It is. I mean, but it's the Indian subcontinent, and it's a unique place with its own unique history. I don't understand this. It seems odd to me. But I know that Oriental rugs...
Instead of judging political candidates based on where their parents were from, how about we judge them based on what their ideas are? If indeed they're going to take a position on an issue, that's usually, helpful.
So Joe Biden, at this point, has rarely come out of his hole in his basement in Delaware.
Yeah, is he even going to go to a debate?
Well, supposedly he's going to
God,
3.
I hope so, man.
And
I cannot wait for this.
I'm curious, is Kamala Harris going to drag the Biden campaign out of the muck? Is it possible that they win because of this? Is
I
she
would
the
say
reason?
no. I mean, if people actually, don't want to have a cop as the vice presidential candidate, if indeed there is a large pushback from the left against the police, then they ought to at least vote for the Green Party. More coming up.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had gotten involved sooner? Well, now's your chance to be part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was originally supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system, the way we would all pay one another without having to trust any third party. But instead, over time, it mostly became a store of value. That's because every 10 minutes, the Bitcoin network must put all transactions into a block, and that block can only hold so much. If crypto is to become mainstream, For everyone to use it in everyday payments, we need a new architecture, one that's as secure as Bitcoin while being far more scalable. Check out intercoin.org to find out more and maybe pick up some of those coins for yourself.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
I'm crazy about My Magic Mud. This is the most important oral care product created this millennium, and I'm not kidding. We all have different opinions on politics and issues, but we all have mouths. And I want yours to be as clean as possible, with teeth as bright as they were meant to be. I will never be without My Magic Mud. It's a little surprising, but man, does it work. If you only listen to one thing I say ever, go to mymagicmud.com and get 20% off with code FTL. mymagicmud.com, code FTL.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project early movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
Live video of our key New Hampshire-based shows is streamed on DLive. Please follow and share at dlive.lrn.fm. That's dlive.lrn.fm.
Yeah, it's Free Talk Live. You can join us here, take control of the airwaves, and bring up anything that you want. Our number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Freedom's Phoenix is a liberty-oriented news aggregation site. If you want the newest and freshest stories and perspectives from those who value liberty, then freedomsphoenix.com has them. They've got a daily dispatch that'll allow you to stay up to date to get on the news from science, technology, historical findings, liberty news, government overspending, and the rise of the police state. It's freedoms with an S, phoenix.com. That's freedomsphoenix.com. Coming up, we got the story about Uber. Apparently, California judge has ordered Uber and Lyft to reclassify their drivers as employees, and apparently they may be leaving California as a result. We can talk about that story, but first, actually, I wanted to make some changes around here in the LRN studios. I've been inspired by all this COVID stuff that's really scary out there. COVID, very, very scary. It could kill children. It could kill your grandparents. It could kill you. And so therefore now we're going to be imposing a new system of cleanliness here at the LRN studios. I'm just going to outline the new requirements here for you, effective immediately. We were going to have a cleaning employee. We're going to have a cleaning employee clean anything that is needed to be cleaned after the use of anyone. We'll be cleaning the restroom after each use from our talent, and clean the elevator after each use. The Clorox wipes and hand sanitizer.
Yeah, there's an elevator here.
We're going to add one.
Okay.
Around the building for talent and crews. We're going to have Clorox wipes and hand sanitizer everywhere. Signs will be around the building and the elevator to remind talent to use masks at all times. Masks are available for talent and crew if needed. Gloves are also available. Medic will be on site who checks temperatures and will be asking questions of talent. So you guys are going to need to be temperature checked and questioned every day. Area is cleared out before talent leaves the premises. Any item placed for talent outside their shooting studio will be cleaned before the talent uses it. COVID-19 releases will be signed before the talent is doing their thing. Reduced staff will be around. Cast-only bathrooms, sequestered to one studio, will be sanitizing pens after each use and have the talent sanitize their hands before using the pens.
I want to know who's going to go running around and doing this stuff because we don't have
cleaning employees. We're hiring them.
We don't
Collect
have
and
He
clean.
did start with hiring cleaning employees.
There is no shortage of things that we can do to keep our talent safe. Collect and clean props or any items used during filming. Maintain social distance. Mask off patrols. That's right. We will have active security agents patrolling the premises to make sure that anyone with a mask off will be confronted and either given the opportunity to mask up.
You can't pay a security guard enough to work here. I mean, for God's sakes, what kind of mental abuse would it be for somebody to put on a badge and a little security guard outfit and walk around the Free Talk Live studios telling people to put masks on?
Things are changing here,
so
buddy.
that Ian can tell them to F themselves.
Things are changing.
I don't know, but this sounds like a social experiment worth pursuing.
It doesn't to me. It's cruel. This is cruel.
All right, so this isn't actually a set of rules for our studio, but what it is the explanation from the React channel. I hadn't watched React in a while. It's a very busy channel, and I don't have time to watch.
This is like things that they kids react to and adults react to.
That channel.
Okay.
It's they make some entertaining videos over the years that I've enjoyed here and there, but they are based in California.
Oh.
And so I happened to watch one of their videos that they did
Did they do
last night.
people react to this asinine list video?
No, I suspect they would support it, though, given they're in California and those people out there are freaking out. But this was the list of things. So, like, when you start the video, it says, look below to see all the cleaning things we're doing to keep, because it's like it's a big deal for them to have started doing their productions again. They bring in these reactors from different parts of California or whatever, and they have
everybody wants to be a
react,
movie star, right?
To various different things, and so they're all in the same studio together. And so now that they're back, they feel the need to explain to all their viewers all the things they're doing to keep their talent safe and to keep people safe, just to make sure that everybody knows. So I was like, oh, I gotta see this, and so I went down, and that was it. And the final item on the list: distribute air high fives, because they've done something. They're keeping people safe from COVID. And by the way,
fist bumps are like almost 95% safer than like handshaking. So I mean, if you really want to do something, you can bump fists or elbows or wrists or whatever the heck you want to do.
No, sir. No, according to there was something on the newscast actually before one of our top of the hours. I think it was Fox News that was saying there's now been another study done that shows that 16 feet is, instead of 6 feet, 16 feet airborne droplets or whatever particles were detectable at 16 feet.
Detectable doesn't mean
here we go.
The viral load sufficient to give somebody a case of COVID.
Well, it doesn't matter, Mark, because if you want to be the safe as possible, it's going to need to be 16 feet away.
If you want to be safe as possible,
you're going to need goggles.
Get a sailboat and don't come back. Get a fishing rod and a sailboat and come back in 2021 and see how it is.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be much improved.
No, I don't think so. It may be worse.
At this point, the number of deaths isn't even reaching the peak of flu season.
Doesn't matter. Everyone's scared.
They don't care.
People are scared. They
could be scared, but at this point, they're not even scared of the flu season. Like when you talked about this in March, and you said, you talk about Trump calling it the flu. It's not the flu. It's not the flu. flu. The people are just screaming, it's not the flu. Well, nobody said it was the flu, except for
but
Trump.
It's basically the flu.
It's not the flu. It's an illness.
We just had a guy call in last night. He said it felt like the flu.
It's an illness. It is an upper respiratory infection. It has some similarities to the flu. It as far as a viral
it's like the
shape,
cold too.
Yeah, it's a coronavirus. A cold is a coronavirus. So there's some comparisons, but at this point, it's not even killing as many people as die.
Your
at the
logic
peaks of the...
does not apply. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to matter.
I had to do it after months of not ever having worn one of these awful medical authoritarian corporate masks. I had to do it. I went to a bank and I wanted to send a wire transfer, and there was no other way for me to do this. There was no online method. I couldn't do the drive-through. I couldn't do anything but go into the bank. They didn't like my V mask. They said to me, the manager says to me, something like,
"Are you kidding me?
Are you kidding me?"
Yeah.
I said, "I'm here to send a wire transfer." She demanded that I put their mask on.
Why didn't they accept your V for Vendetta mask?
She didn't explain.
No, there's no explanation. This is new COVID America.
My religious
there's no
objection didn't matter.
Now I see why you were trying to grill me over me choosing to spend 10 minutes, typing an email to get an absentee ballot. You're angry at yourself
Why
for
is that?
violating something that you consider to be your principles surrounding masks.
Yes, but my mission to spread Bitcoin overrode that principle, and I
am
went
not
ahead and I
trying
did it.
to indict you, my brother.
I'm not mad at
applaud
you.
you in being mentally flexible enough to put on the mask.
Oh, it was not easy, and I was not happy about it. I was not trying to be mean to the nice lady who was just doing her job or whatever. I'm like, look, I know you're just doing your job, but this is pretty dehumanizing, basically. I mean, I essentially
says the guy wearing
a
mask of another man's face.
Yeah, well, I wasn't wearing that at that point. It was on the top of my head for the rest of the time. But, she started coming up with this sort of gobbledygook about how she had a 7-year-old child. She herself probably wasn't any older than 35.
A 7-year-old child is so incredibly unlikely to catch the COVIDs.
I sort of said, well, used to be people just got sick and got over it. Kids get sick, people get sick. You either make it through it or you don't. That's the way it used to be. And she seemed to sort of acknowledge that. And she just was like, well, we've got to be good citizens. We've got to be obedient. Or she didn't say obedient. We've got to be compliant or something like that. And she just was just like rattling off all these compliance, obedience
no
talking
part
points.
of doing business with you or me is compliant with anything the government wants them to do, whether we wear masks or not.
So it was disappointing. It was sad, and I can totally understand why people don't want to wear these things. It was awful. It was dehumanizing. It was hot. And
it was exactly as bad as
there wasn't air conditioning in the bank?
It was just as bad as I expected it to be.
They didn't have air conditioning?
It heats your face. So yeah, they have air conditioning, but it heats your face up by probably 10 degrees.
Sometimes it gets itchy.
There's more coming up here in moments. This is Free Talk Live.
Are you ready for what's next? It's likely coming. More food shortages, power outages, grocery stores closed, social unrest. Ask yourself, do you have enough food and supplies on hand to last at least 30 days? Most Americans do not, but you can. Avoid the panic of the last-minute rush. Order your 4-week supply of emergency food today from mypatriotsupply.com. Starvation or dependency on the government are your only alternatives. Avoid those and the pain of being unprepared. Go to mypatriotsupply.com right now. Build your emergency food supply with meals that last up to 25 years in storage, shipped discreetly to your door. Folks that know what's coming are using today to prepare. There's time for you to do the same. That's mypatriotsupply.com, the original Patriot Preparedness Company. mypatriotsupply.com.
With gun theft on the rise, it's crucial that law-abiding citizens hide their guns from criminals who are now becoming desperate. Learn exactly how with the newly updated Hide Your Guns e-manual, written by a former U.S. Special Forces officer who now reveals his field-tested secrets. Whether it's sneaky ways to hide your guns in plain sight or using extremely clever hiding places that even skilled thieves will never suspect. Learn how to hide other valuables too, like cash, gold coins, credit cards, so that they're safe from thieves but back in your hands instantly when needed. All this week, get 4 free bonuses when you order, Gun Debate Boot Camp, How to Argue with Liberals About Guns and Win Every Time audio program, our No BS Home Defense Report, the best-selling Your Home, Your Fortress e-manual, and a special mystery bonus worth $25. Go to hideyourguns.com. That's hideyourguns.com. Don't let your guns be stolen and used in a crime. Go to hideyourguns.com.
You know how annoying it is when someone keeps stopping mid-sentence as though he or she were asking you a series of questions? Avoid doing that. It sounds unnervingly tentative, and it imposes upon the listener to help you complete the thought. And if you're a job seeker, this alone could be a deal killer. An effective communicator sounds more confident. Complete the thought. Avoid making the listener impatient. With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important. Cutting through the clutter rather than blending into the blah, blah, blah will help you connect better no matter what the conversation. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook. survivalspeech.com.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
It's Free Talk Live. You can dial in toll-free and bring up whatever you want here. Our number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We have the Discord call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm. You can hop into one of those, and then you'll sound almost like you're sitting here with us tonight. It's Ian.
Aria.
And Mark.
So, by the way, I want to make sure to invite you to freetalklive.com. We've got archives that go back for years. You can download as many as you like, listen whenever you want over at freetalklive.com. So there's an interesting story since I was talking about the mask situation, which is just god-awful and oppressive. But how does it feel to a rape survivor? Well, that's what The Guardian is looking at here. According to their story, when Georgina Fallows even contemplates putting on a mask, the flashbacks to her rape can be overwhelming and debilitating. And she's not alone. Rape survivors are among those voicing deep concerns about the stigma and ensuing mask rage attached to not wearing a face covering in shops, on transport, and in other public places, prompting calls for better recognition of legitimate reasons why people are exempt. A number of rape and sexual abuse survivors have told the charity Rape Crisis that they're so scared of being confronted and verbally abused for not wearing face masks, they're avoiding places where they may be challenged.
Sure.
Quote, a significant proportion of rape survivors had their mouths or noses covered or were choked or smothered as part of the abuse and violence that they experienced, said the spokesperson for Rape Crisis England and Wales. She said further, covering their face and nose now can trigger flashbacks, panic attacks, and severe anxiety. But wait a minute, they must hate their grandmother if they don't want to have a mask on. Severe distress is recognized by the government as a reason for a legal exemption from the mandatory use of face coverings, and this is again in the UK, where this story is coming out of. But rape victims...
Just another instance where the liberals are eating themselves.
Yeah, rape victims still fear they will be castigated.
Well, they certainly will be. And it's absurd to...
Because no one knows you're a rape victim just by looking at you.
Right.
And these people will just look at you and say, oh, you don't have a mask on. You hate my grandparents. You want to kill my children.
Yep.
You're a murderer.
You're immediately bad and ostracized if you're not doing the signaling of putting a mask on.
That's right.
Well, don't get me wrong, but hasn't The Guardian been one of the chief contributing factors to this fervor on the left about people not wearing masks and how evil and horrible they must be?
This is the first
Well, this crap
counterpiece
is
I've
on
seen
you,
to it.
Guardian.
Yeah.
You're the reason these rape victims are hiding in their homes scared to go out.
Yeah, well, they propagated it. They definitely propagated it. They assisted in this. And now, all of a sudden, they figured out a reason why somebody might not want to wear a mask.
I don't see anything wrong with people learning from mistakes. And if they're coming out and publishing this article, it is a step towards admitting error.
Quote, there's a lot of assumptions that people who aren't wearing their masks are behaving that way because they're selfish, stupid, careless, or a combination of all three. This lack of awareness is creating legitimate anxiety among rape survivors that if they go out and about, they might not be met with empathy and care. Fallows, 29-year-old solicitor, suffers from PTSD.
Yeah, the amazing thing is that everybody who's upset with you going out, without a mask is already out themselves. Like the safest place to be is in your home by yourself. So what are you doing out?
Well, it's even safer in prison.
I don't think it is, no.
If they're in isolation.
Probably not. You're going to be right next door to some foul, infected person.
Quote, for part of my rape, he had his hand over my mouth. As a result, anything over my mouth, even an oxygen mask, can trigger a flashback, and that's hugely distressing. Physically, it feels like I'm back there again, and he's raping me, and I'm dying, she said. The distress she suffers amid flashbacks can be so severe that paramedics have felt it necessary to call the police to hold her down so they can sedate her. She says,
because that's what you need to do with a rape victim who's having a freaking flashback is hold her down.
Right.
What is wrong with this? What is wrong with these people?
Quote, it's absolutely...
Do they not know how to treat people with mental health issues?
Horrendous. I would like to be able to wear a mask, not just for my own health, but because I don't want to make other people feel uncomfortable. But even the thought of putting on a mask makes me very, very panicky. Well, it's not all about you, is it, little missy? You got to wear a mask to protect other people.
Yeah, it's about grandma.
When she tried to get her hair cut after lockdown, another customer interrogated her about her lack of a mask, refusing to accept her reply that she was exempt. Quote, she told me that was ridiculous and that I said I had no proof. I cried all the way home. She truly believed I was a self-centered, ignorant girl who didn't give an S about anybody else. I felt completely worthless. Unquote.
Yeah, this whole mask thing really gives people who are, wanting to get off in other people's business an excuse.
Since then, whenever she's tried to go to an enclosed public space without a mask, she has been challenged. She is now avoiding all shops and public transport, which, since she has no car, is severely restricting to where she can go. She says, quote, I can't see my family who live 2 hours away. If I want to go anywhere, I have to walk, unquote. So she's been run out of every public space that she's been to by some harridan, some awful human being who is just absolutely verbally assaultive towards her. She fears it could leave her vulnerable to another attack, given that she has to walk everywhere. She was dragged off of the street by her rapist, and so spends a lot of time alone in her bedroom. She says, quote, I've tried so hard to rejoin life again, as it were, but it feels like it's all been taken away again, unquote. She has contacted her MP, local councilor, and mayor to urge them to mount a public awareness campaign about the legitimate reasons for mask exemptions, but received no response.
Shocking.
Right.
Guess
Nobody
they
wants
don't care
to,
about
Nobody
rape
wants
victims.
to touch this because it's it's electric on both ends.
She has waived her right to anonymity to raise awareness. She says, people feel like they have the right to challenge you, and that's awful. You wouldn't look at me and know I'd been raped, but I was, and it's a huge problem for me. I spend most of my time trying to forget what happened to me. I don't need to be challenged about this 3 or 4 times a day, just trying to live my life. All it does is remind me of something I'm desperately trying to forget. Rape Crisis wants shops and public transport companies to display signs and remind customers there are legitimate reasons people may not be wearing masks, which may not always be visible and obvious, and discourage customers from challenging each other.
I mean, if a customer comes into your place of business and they start being hostile or belligerent to other customers, you ask the belligerent person to leave. I don't care if you're wearing a mask and they're wearing a mask, so they're on the same team of you. They're being belligerent to your customers. That's not okay.
This whole thing is not okay. This whole idea that people can be crappy to other people because of, what thing that they've decided or not decided to adorn themselves with. I mean, it is so offensive.
Ask them where the hell their goggles are.
Yep, great.
If they want to ask
point.
you where your mask is. Where are your goggles?
By the way,
where
I
are
have
your
yet to
gloves?
see that. Have you seen any goggled people around? I have not.
Dude, if I did, I would have shown you the picture by now.
I saw a guy wearing an actual gas mask working at the New Hampshire liquor store.
Was he
was an
trolling, though?
employee?
Yeah, he's long-haired dude. What?
Was he trolling, though?
I don't know.
Because an employee?
Because I tried to wear an
I can't
honest-to-God
tell you whether he
plague
was
mask.
wearing it ironically, okay? I don't know.
Was he? Wait, just to be clear, he was an employee?
He was playing with boxes of liquor. How's that?
See, now that's probably just somebody trolling, but, you don't know unless you ask.
He got
tried
a
to wear a
smile
plague
out of me.
doctor mask.
And how'd that go?
It didn't. I couldn't wear it at work. I mean, I haven't tried wearing it to Walmart or anything. I mean, it's a bit ostentatious.
Yeah, it is. Wait, you don't want to wear something ostentatious?
That was a bit much, man.
So this is
You should
terrible.
wear it down the street as street theater.
It's terrible. What's going on out there, and I don't know if it's going to get better anytime soon. I know Conan was saying he thinks it's going to be the cause of the Civil War. I don't know if that's going to be the case.
I don't think that's.
I think Conan's constantly looking for a civil war, but
I think this mask crap is here to stay for years.
It's just awful.
Well, okay. So I support people being able to wear masks.
Sure, people should be free to make a choice about themselves.
And their businesses.
Yeah, they should be.
Right.
But that's not what we're seeing.
No.
We're seeing mandates. The city of Keene, criminal enterprise as it is, went ahead and passed a mask mandate last week. It's been not quite a week. It was last Thursday night that they passed it. There's going to be a protest scheduled this weekend here in Keene. And there are a lot of business owners who are quietly unhappy with this, from what I understand. I've heard things. And it's just the thing is, business owners are too afraid to do anything about it. Because the mask people are out there, and they are an economic weight. They spend money, they are out shopping, and they want to feel safe. So we got run out of our Sunday night hangout as a result of that, basically. I mean, they said they still want to sell us some food, obviously, but they don't want us inside with masks without masks on. So that's a non-starter. We're not going to
Do you have an app you can order from outside and they bring it out?
Well, if there's seats available, but frequently those seats are completely full, or there are very few of them available.
Yeah, I must say that I'm looking at outside seating more often these days.
Yeah. So the toll-free number here tonight, 855-450-FREE. Let's talk about Uber and Lyft. Get into technology. They're apparently maybe being run out of the state of California by a judge's decision reclassifying their drivers as employees, that's not their business model. 855-450-FREE is the toll-free line, but that's what these union people out in California have been wanting.
Yeah, because they want Uber to leave California.
They don't want competition for their taxi businesses, that's for sure. More coming up here. Hour 3's next. It's Free Talk Live.
Maxwell, he was a runaway to rescue, great disposition. About 9 years ago, he was scratching a lot, and he started losing some hair. My vet, she says, oh, he must be allergic to the chicken. Another vet said, it's the grain. Third vet, she says it's the weather, something in the air. And then somebody said, DINOVITE.com. I had been listening to these Dynavite ads, hearing about different stories of different people, and it just clicked. I got my first 90-day supply, and it took a grand total of 2 weeks. And the dog stopped itching, the hair stopped falling out.
Dynavite is nutrition.
And Maxwell loves it. Now he's close to 10. And the Dynavite is a big part of Maxwell's diet.
Dynavite for life. You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
And he's a spectacular dog.
DINOVITE.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealestate.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Sharing the spotlight for the first time, I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. Presumptive Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden and his newly selected vice president, Senator Kamala Harris, appearing together this afternoon in Delaware. Biden slammed the Trump administration, saying the president cares more about himself than the American people.
Working families need someone on their side in this nation because they certainly don't have anyone in the president now on their side. That's going to change in the Biden-Harris administration.
Senator Harris also coming out swinging.
We don't have to accept the failed government of Donald Trump and Mike Pence. In just 83 days, we have a chance to choose a better future for our country.
The two appeared feet apart on a stage of a high school and had just a handful of reporters in the room due to the pandemic. President Trump using today's briefing to cover a wide variety of topics, including taking aim at Democrats for the lack of action on a new round of coronavirus relief.
The president began by recognizing stock market gains, then segued into criticism of Democratic leaders.
Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi are holding the American people hostage over money for their radical left-wing agenda.
He said that includes billions for mail-in voting. He says, without specifics, is rife with fraud. As for COVID numbers in hotspot states, the president said it's greatly improved.
Some with very little, if any, problem. Large portions of the United States.
He again called for schools to reopen, saying young people can fight off the virus much better. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
Wall Street, the Dow added 289 points, the Nasdaq up 229, the S&P plus 46 points. America is listening to Fox News.
2020 is serving challenges left and right, but your small business still has goals to hit. Even though you have less resources to work with, you need to keep finding and hiring the best. Indeed is here to help. Indeed.com is the #1 job site in the world because Indeed gets you the best people fast. Unlike other sites, Indeed gives you full control and payment flexibility over your hiring. You only pay for what you need. You can pause your account at any time, and there are no long-term contracts. Plus, Indeed provides powerful tools to make your search that much easier, like sponsored jobs, which are shown to be 3.5 times more likely to result in a hire. With 73% of online job seekers visiting Indeed each month, Indeed is going to get you the important hire you need, just like they have for over 3 million businesses. Right now, Indeed is offering our listeners a free $75 credit to boost your job post, which means more quality candidates will see it fast. Try Indeed out with a free $75 credit at Indeed.com/Fox. This is their best offer available anywhere. Go right now to Indeed.com/Fox. Terms and conditions apply. Offer valid through September 30th.
A victory in court for small business owners trying to recoup money after being closed during the pandemic.
A federal judge in Missouri has ruled that hair salons and restaurants can sue their insurance carrier for business interruption losses caused by the coronavirus pandemic. The decision against Cincinnati Insurance Company is a victory for policyholders suing insurers for improperly denying claims related to shutdowns caused by COVID-19. Business owners have filed hundreds of lawsuits claiming that their business interruption insurance, which covers losses from fires or floods, should also cover a pandemic. Insurers had previously won similar cases in courts in Michigan and in the nation's capital. In Washington, John Decker, Fox News.
A discount retailer has filed for bankruptcy reorganization, just the latest casualty of the virus.
Off-price clothing and home decor chain Stein Mart says it will close most, if not all, of its stores. The company has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy reorganization. Its chief financial officer, Hunt Hawkins, blames the coronavirus and challenging retail environment, saying Stein Mart doesn't have the money to continue operating in the ordinary course of business. The company has determined the best strategy to maximize value will be a liquidation of its assets. It'll continue to operate and pay its workers through the bankruptcy process. Steinmart is considering alternatives, including selling its online business. Ginny Cosola, Fox News.
Driver's license photos are usually not the best, but a woman in Tennessee got a surprise when she got her new ID. The picture was of an empty chair. The state DMV says the chair ended up being used because it was the last picture saved. It's all fixed now, though. They sent her a new ID with her picture and no chair. I'm Lisa Lacera, and this is Fox News.
Retail giant CVS is gearing up for floods of customers seeking the perfect meaningless piece of crap for their office gift swap. The company is making no secret that when it comes to wasting the obligatory $20 on a useless electronic dartboard or pretzel maker for someone you couldn't care less about, CVS is your best option.
Our incredible selection of worthless is just the thing that nobody wants. We guarantee you'll find nothing personal or unique in our store.
The company is offering massive discounts on otherwise unsellable items for holiday parties you don't even want to go to, like the $12 decorative lantern, which is expected to be a big hit with customers who grab the first thing they see when they walk in the store.
I really wanted to get something that said, I don't care about any of you people and I didn't put any effort into this.
CVS also has Hanukkah gifts for coworkers who you think might be Jewish, like candles and those little plastic net bags full of chocolate money.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live. You can take control of the airwaves here. The toll-free number is 855-450, free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We have the Discord call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm. Hop into one of those if you want to join us here. And maybe you are a driver for a ride-sharing company in California. Maybe you work for Uber or Lyft. And your life is about to change because a California judge, man in a robe or woman in a robe, has decided that now, effective presumably immediately, although it's been stayed for 10 days, that the previously considered contractors are now going to be considered employees.
Right.
And
people that get to choose when they decide to go to work and when they decide to stop being at work.
Those are generally considered contractors.
Yeah, how much work they're going to do and what range that they want to do work in and all these kinds of things that function by any definition I've ever heard for a contractor are now employees.
And that means a lot to be an employee. And that means that they have to do all the things that companies that have employees are mandated to do for their employees, like provide health insurance and provide, whatever other 401ks and all this other, mandatory crap.
It doesn't actually mean that.
No?
It could
In
mean
California,
that they just decide they don't have to do business there.
Right. If they're going to do
leave,
business there.
right?
But if they're going to do business there, they have to treat their people as employees.
Right, but
which is
the hubris of these people who call themselves the state of California, these deranged lunatics that think that somehow they are the center of the world. I mean, Uber doesn't need them. They could just go away. See ya.
Well, I mean, yeah, Uber could just go away. They probably have a few offices in California they may have to close down.
Sure.
Or
I bet they
something
started
like
there.
that.
California could always just ban TikTok.
Yeah, they could. That's a whole other question.
I bet Uber doesn't get to do business in China. What do you bet?
I don't know, Mark. If you really want to find out, you don't have to bet. You can go look.
Uber
has a map where they show you all the countries in which they do business, and they have quite a few of them, last I recall. But it could be that China doesn't have them. Anyway, Uber, according to CNBC.com, may shut down temporarily for months if a court does not overturn a recent ruling requiring them to classify their drivers as full-time employees. CEO Dara Khosrowshahi said in an interview with Stephanie Ruhle on Wednesday on MSNBC. He said, if the court doesn't reconsider, then in California, it's hard to believe we'll be able to switch our model to full-time employment quickly, he said. And would it be worth them doing at all is really the question, because
wasn't it the Uber and Lyft drivers who initiated this lawsuit?
Well, some of them. I mean, basically what happens is there's a certain industry out there of unions, and they want to have more, control. They want to have more members, right? They want to have more people contributing to their union and such. And so they would love to unionize the Uber and Lyft drivers. And so they recruit from people who already are familiar with them, right? Like they tell their buddies or whatever, hey, go get a job with Uber, or get a gig with Uber, or get a gig with Lyft, and then you'll have standing to sue. You'll be able to join our we want to bring a lawsuit against Uber, but we need our people in there so we can bring the lawsuit on your behalf, basically.
And if you have enough contractors, one of them's going to be dissatisfied.
Sure.
Now, everybody...
And if you can email
something else then.
Well, if you can email 100,000 Uber drivers or whatever in California, you'll find a handful of them who are like, I'd like free health care.
Right. The problem is they're not likely to get it.
Because Uber will just leave.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, so this is the cutting off your nose in order to spite your face sort of thing that you've been worried about your whole life.
Well, right. And that's why I think the conspiracy theory that it's actually perhaps taxi cab unions that are ultimately behind this is, I think, a valid conspiracy theory, because they would love to have Uber leave, or at the very least be regulated into the dirt.
Yeah, probably what will happen is that some ride-sharing apps will run in sort of the gray market until they get found out, and then they'll go, and then another one will spring up, and they'll go, and it'll just be this sort of merry-go-round of people in the know having the right app.
Could be. Uber and Lyft both have about a week to appeal, and they're going to, a preliminary injunction granted by a California judge Monday that will prohibit the companies from continuing to classify their drivers as independent workers. Following the order will require Uber and Lyft to provide benefits and unemployment insurance for their workers, which would mean they would have to completely change how they do their business. Okay.
It completely breaks Uber's model.
Correct. They're not set up to give drivers a schedule. Okay, so one of the benefits of Uber is, like you were saying earlier, Mark, you get to set your schedule.
Yeah.
So this is why a lot of people will do this in their off time. They've got another job that they work 40 hours a week at or whatever, and then on the weekends they drive for Uber, or at nights or in the mornings or whatever it is, they're not at their job and they've got time, they drive for Uber, or they drive for Lyft, or they drive for both. A lot of them have accounts on both Uber and Lyft, and they'll have them running
separate
simultaneously.
Phones running at the same time.
Yeah, or on the same phone or whatever. And so this is a way for people to make some extra money, and it's convenient because they can do it on their own schedule. Well, if you're an employee, then Uber gets to set your schedule.
Right.
Then you don't get to decide anything anymore.
Suddenly, many of the benefits of being a contractor go away.
Correct. And now, one of the other benefits of being a contractor is you bring your own tools to the job. Now, in theory, a company could provide you with some tools, but generally, the rule is, like, in the case of Uber and Lyft, you provide the car.
You provide the car, whereas a taxi cab company, they provide you the taxi.
Correct. Now, Uber
they also provide you your schedule.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, when I worked as a taxi cab driver,
and you take the calls they send you on, right? Yeah. Like if you're a driver and they send you somewhere, and you're like, no thanks.
Yeah,
there's not going to last.
Yeah, there's not going to be too. I don't know how that would work with Uber either. I mean,
true. You can't keep turning down rides with Uber and Lyft and expect to continue getting them.
Right.
But you could still turn down some on occasion, like if it was.
I'd be kind of curious as to what would happen. When I was driving cab, I did never turn down a ride. There were rides that at the end of it I wish I had, but at the beginning I never turned down a ride, but I don't know what it would have been like if I said, I don't feel safe, I'm not going.
Right.
But I did set up early on, hey, I'm working when I feel like working. And, they put me on the schedule, and at some point or another, the guy at the dispatcher would be like, who do you think you are? And I'm like, I think I'm leaving when I said I'm leaving, because that's what I arranged when I started.
Well, yeah, if you arrange that in the beginning, then maybe they'll respect it and give you the kind of schedule that you want. But then again, drivers are easy to find.
Yeah, right, they did, and they didn't, nobody told this guy. basically.
Right.
So.
Well, look, there's plenty of people out there who are willing to drive, and if you are too demanding, they'll just be like, well, you probably are a good driver, but so's he, and we'll take him over here. He's willing to work more. So now you're going to have to deal with that as employees if Uber and Lyft were to actually stay in California. And right now, there's a story here saying that Lyft has joined Uber in their pledge to leave California if indeed things do not go their way.
Now Lyft and Uber on the same side.
Oh, they've been that way before.
I mean, I understand where they're coming from, but it's also giving the state of California exactly what it wants.
Them to leave, you mean? Well, that's the only option.
New York and California, they hate these gig apps.
Right.
They hate Uber and Lyft. They hate Airbnb. They hate all of them.
Yes, that's right.
That's why people are leaving New York and California. You know, working class people are having a difficult time making it in these places, and it's amazing. New York is stunning. I mean, like, why people are staying in a place that ice falls from the sky and has the most tyrannical government. I don't get it.
Ice falls from the sky here.
I understand, but we don't have the most tyrannical government, and I'm glad it drives out the commies. Florida's nice this time of year. Head on down. Head on. Take 995 south.
Following the order will require Uber and Lyft to provide benefits and unemployment insurance for their workers. California's Assistant Attorney General, which was, remember, Kamala Harris's job. She was the Attorney General of California. And 3 city attorneys brought the lawsuit against the companies under the state's new law, Assembly Bill 5, that aims to provide benefits to gig workers core to a company's business by classifying them as employees. In his decision granting the injunction, the judge rejected the notion that drivers should be considered outside of the course of the company's businesses, calling the logic, quote, a classic example of circular reasoning. We'll talk more about what this ruling means, and if you want to weigh in, join us on Free Talk Live.
News from news.bitcoin.com. Goldman Sachs warns that the U.S. dollar is on the path to lose world reserve currency status. Experts say that Bitcoin will continue to rise to as much as $20,000 this year. Coinbase reports more institutional investors are buying cryptocurrency. Cashgames.bitcoin.com announces a $3,000 leaderboard tournament. Bitcoin.com is your source for getting started with cryptocurrencies, getting a wallet, buying Bitcoin Cash, mining, and all the latest cryptocurrency news at news.bitcoin.com.
Bear, the rescue dog, had very flaky skin, dropping a lot of fur, and Levette wanted to do steroid injections. I was at a dead end.
DINOVITE.com.
Probably 6 weeks after we started using Dinovite, no more flaky skin. He doesn't scratch and itch. It was awesome.
You get some Dinovite, how happy your dog will be.
Every rescue dog in America deserves Dinovite for 90 days.
DINOVITE.com.
Got shaving irritation? Shave Secret shaving oil can help stop it. Shave Secret doesn't cost much and is an all-American product. My name is Chuck Howard, and I developed Shave Secret and pioneered its use starting back in 1991. Ingrown hairs drove me nuts for years. Shaving oil changed all that. Why put up with ingrown hair, bumps, red rash, nicks, and cuts? Shave Secret provides men and women with what we believe is the best shave ever. Our proprietary blend of 100% natural base and essential oils plus a hint of menthol was designed to help eliminate shaving irritations like ingrown hairs, bumps, red rash, nicks, and cuts. We'll lose those shaving irritations. Available at Super Walmart, H-E-B, Wegmans, Giant Eagle, Discount Drug, Navy and Marine Exchanges, Amazon, and ShaveSecret.com. Use the code FTL for Free Talk Live and get a discount. Shave Secret, the best shave ever.
Free Talk Live.
Well, let's say that the Chinese troops decide to come over here because the local governments here have asked them to come here and help out with things, to controlling traffic and stuff like that. Would you be all right with that? If you were polled, would you say you're cool and great?
It would depend on, no, I wouldn't like it, but it would also depend on the situation. If I had a group of radicals, say Christians, going around, terrorizing and bombing and killing other religious sects because they didn't believe in what they believe in, and we needed help. Yeah, I may at that point.
Now, what if
it's not like we have a group of people.
What if some of those Chinese troops by accident killed, say, your wife? How would you feel about those Chinese troops at that point?
I'm sure I would have a whole different opinion.
Yeah, I bet you would.
That's an honest answer.
You are an awesome caller.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live. You're invited to join us here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We have the Discord call-in line rooms, and you can join us in there. You'll sound almost like you're sitting here in the studio with us. Tonight, it's Ian.
Aria.
And Mark.
We're talking about the California judge who's decided that Uber and Lyft and presumably every other ride-sharing company there in California will have to treat their drivers as employees. There's a 10-day window of time where the order from the judge is stayed until to give them opportunity to put in appeals, which they are intending to do. There's also another potential ballot measure that we'll mention here in a moment that could have an effect on this November. So there's still some plates that are spinning up in there, but we'll tell you a little bit more about what is happening, and you can share your thoughts, especially if you are a driver for either of these services. Are you working in California, and how do you feel about this arrangement? Your contract, your agreement. Because was it really a contract, considering Uber can change it at any time they like? That's a whole other question.
Well,
but
you could read it if you wanted to.
You could, and then they can change it.
It's probably too long.
And then they can change it, so it really doesn't matter what it says.
It's terms of service.
Yeah, which, again, they can change at any time, which is the way it is for most corporations. But regardless, now that contract is being changed not by Uber or Lyft, but being changed by the government of California, who is now saying, well, it's no longer a contract for contractor service. It's now going to be you're an employee, whether you like that or not. And we can talk more about that coming up here. But let's go to the phones and to the fun, the moment you've all been waiting for. James in Arizona. What wisdom?
Will you fight for me? Will you fight for me, Ian?
Who are you?
Fight for me? I love how you buy into your own egomania on the air.
What do you mean? Fight for you how?
The ugliest about how you said you would fight for anybody. Oh, you already forget
the freedom
about
of speech of anybody, even a lunatic. That's right. I even let a lunatic nut job call into this show.
If a lunatic were to put a bullet in your head, if a lunatic were to put a bullet in your head, would the cops or anybody in Keene, New Hampshire care?
Well, presumably they would. That's the kind of thing that they. Hold on. This is a dangerous. This is a dangerous sort of a thought process that you have. That somehow
he's a dangerous man
can kill somebody and get away with it because that person is that unpopular.
Oh, he wasn't saying it would be him.
Yes. Well, I understand he didn't say that, but he alludes to it. Right? You called him a lunatic.
Dangerous individual. I'm going to kill your family. How are they doing? Your ugly wife and child who literally should not even exist. How are they doing?
What the F does that mean? My child shouldn't exist.
Sick,
I mean,
man.
who are you? Are you God's chosen angel to determine who gets to exist and who doesn't? What kind of demented world do you live in?
Anybody that knows anything about justice knows you never should have been let out of bars.
You forgave me on the air if you don't remember that. Remember back when you wanted to get on the air so badly? You were like, I think people should be forgiven, because they should, and the Bible's pretty clear about it. But now
you're really good at controlling the conversation when I'm trying to answer a question. Your son shouldn't exist. You should have never been let out of bars. You never should have been left.
So what does that mean to you that my son shouldn't exist? What do you intend to do about it? What are you going to do about my son not supposed to exist?
James?
What are you going to do? Nothing.
Hey, Mark Edgington, if a lunatic were to shoot you in the head, I wouldn't worry about that person's fate.
I understand you don't care.
Belong on this
you know
planet.
what? I wasn't going to send out a thank you card to you either.
Thanks for the call, James in Arizona. What
you know
a happy,
what, James?
happy man.
If you've got a problem with me, I'm happy to take it up with an arbitration organization anytime you want.
His
But
problem
you
with you
won't
is
do
that you won't give him money. Remember?
Right.
But
he wants
won't
to
say.
extort me.
But wait a minute. He's called before and said, pay me. and I've been like, how much?
Right. How much
He won't say.
I've given him plenty of Satoshis. James, you've been paid.
I gave him like 2 cents worth of crypto online.
You talking about the tip bot on our Discord server?
Yeah, the tip bot. It's awesome.
See, that is way nicer than you had to be.
There you go.
Very generous of you, Mark.
Yeah, a couple of cents.
Well, they're going to need more than a couple cents to fight this in court there in California. God knows how much Uber and Lyft have already had to pay. I mean, can you imagine what the percentage of their business goes to the legal team? I mean, it's got to be huge. They're fighting so many different legal battles at any one moment with so many different states and nation states. And
no, I cannot imagine.
I mean, it's got to be a huge chunk of every year's budget for Uber going to just attorneys. And so now in California, a man in a robe has decided that Uber and Lyft both have to start treating their contractors as employees. But rather than classify drivers as employees, this from CNBC.com, the Uber CEO has advocated for what he calls a third way that would maintain drivers' independence while allowing companies to provide some protections without risking being viewed as full-time employees. He wrote an op-ed for the New York Times saying gig companies such as Uber could pay into a fund that workers could dip into for time paid off or healthcare benefits based on the number of hours that they work. He said that his plan B, if Uber can't win on appeal, would be to temporarily pause service.
Why not just go ahead and pay the people what you're going to pay them? Because, I mean, this fund that he's talking about is...
Because the average American is irresponsible, and they won't still have that money when they need it.
Well, that's their problem.
It is
responsibility
indeed. That won't persuade the court.
Okay, look,
this is California.
The court doesn't deal with economics very often.
No, they don't.
So, this money that is going to come from this pool that this Uber CEO has suggested is going to come from one of two places. It's going to come from out of the paychecks of the Uber drivers currently,
come from. Right now,
or it's going to come out of Uber's profits.
It's going to come from the drivers.
I don't think is terribly profitable at this point.
No, they lose money.
Yeah.
It's going to come from the drivers. So when I started with Uber, I had a very short career with Uber because the local haters. Well, what they did was the local haters complained about me driving for Uber, and despite the fact that I had 5 stars, they put me on what they call a wait list for 9 months while they dodged all my emails about what was going on and how I could help them with whatever investigation they were doing about me to ultimately cancel my my driving account with them after 9 months of waiting. So,
not that you particularly needed the job driving for Uber,
but in that time frame,
why would you take up a job driving for Uber?
Because I wanted to.
Okay, fair.
He's odd, man.
There was at the time.
I've done weirder.
At the time, there was some Uber activism going on in New Hampshire. There was a lady out in the Seacoast who was being targeted because she was driving for Uber. She was being targeted by the regulators and being targeted by the cabbies. And so it was something to do because of the situation that was sort of going on. I wanted to get a feel for what it was like driving for Uber, and so I did. I went and I drove in Manchester and Concord.
You can speak intelligently about it, which is useful at times.
So anyway, as a driver for Uber, when I started, they were paying out 80%. So of whatever the fee was for the ride, the driver would get 80%. The 20% would go to Uber, and they would pay their attorneys and whatever other things that they do with the 20%. And so Mark, that's where it would come out of. In the short time frame that I was a driver, they actually cut that 80% down to 75%. So it's got to be no more than 75% today. It's been probably 4 or 5 years since I was driving for them.
Right.
It may even be 70% now.
Yeah, there's no company that's going to just up the amount for no reason.
Toll-free number tonight, 855-450-FREE. And I suspect that little fund that he's talking about would only be for California drivers or any places where they've cracked down like this. 855-450-FREE, but they are planning on pulling out of California as well as Lyft or temporarily pausing service. And we can tell you more about what it might look like if they did come back with employees. It's Free Talk Live.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to divvyproject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from divvyproject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. divvyproject.org. DIVI project.org. News from news.bitcoin.com. Goldman Sachs warns that the U.S. dollar is on the path to lose world reserve currency status. Experts say that Bitcoin will continue to rise to as much as $20,000 this year. Coinbase reports more institutional investors are buying cryptocurrency. Cashgames.bitcoin.com announces a $3,000 leaderboard tournament. Bitcoin.com is your source for getting started with cryptocurrencies, getting a wallet, buying Bitcoin Cash, mining, and all the latest cryptocurrency news at news.bitcoin.com.
The political world is a maddening cesspool of corruption and lies. Nobody tells the truth. Nobody keeps campaign promises. Nobody obeys the Constitution. Nobody puts the people first. How can we ever escape this web of tyranny? Vote for nobody.
Hi, my name is Nobody. I'm running for governor of New Hampshire because nobody knows how to live your life better than you do, and nobody deserves that kind of power. I want to put you back in control of your money, your lifestyle, your work, your body, and your life. Nobody should rule you but you. New Hampshire convicts many people of so-called crimes that should never have been prosecuted. If elected, I will pardon every victimless crime in New Hampshire history. This includes drug, gambling, prostitution, gun, and driving offenses. Nobody should have a criminal record when they have not harmed anybody.
Wouldn't it be nice to have nobody telling you what to do? Learn more at electnobody.com. electnobody.com.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything here. The number is 855-450-FREE. If you want to weigh in on the controversy out in California over Uber and Lyft, maybe they're going to be leaving California, maybe temporarily, but maybe for good. Who knows? They're now being forced by a court to start treating their drivers as employees within the next 10 days, unless they are successfully able to appeal. They probably will be filing the appeal, so it'll likely the decision of the judge will be put on hold until the appeal can be heard. So it's not going to – they're probably not going to shut down next week, but that would be the
soonest.
soonest.
They're not running out of money for lawyers yet.
No, and we're going to continue with that. With you in the studio tonight, it's Ian,
Aria,
and Mark.
And also want to make sure you know about Divvy. From mid-March to mid-July, Divvy, the new easy-to-use cryptocurrency we've been promoting here on Free Talk Live, increased in value by over 10 times. And nothing's stopping Divvy from going up further, and in fact, that is their goal. Their price jumped 10 times in correlation with the release of their beta wallet. Now, that was a closed beta, by the way, so will Divvy go up further when their wallet is fully released? I don't know what the future holds, but at Free Talk Live, we're happy with our decision to hook up with Divvy a year ago. You can go to divvyproject.org, and you can begin earning Divvy by starting a masternode or staking it. They've even got a lottery for those who are staking Divvy. You can learn more over at divvyproject.org.
As a matter of fact, divvyproject.org offers a concierge service to help people to sort of get involved who really don't understand it and that kind of thing, usually through their Telegram.
Cool. All right, we go to Brad. He's in Texas. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Brad.
Hello.
Hi, you're on the air.
So my premise is I'm an engineer, and I have a lot of good ideas, but I also have 2 kids, and I need to have health insurance.
Okay.
All right.
So because of that, I have to work for a corporation or somebody who can provide that.
Sure.
And I would love to not work for a corporation, and I don't know how to do that without, the United States government.
Yeah, it's a good question.
How would you not work for a corporation without the United States government? I don't think I even understand the question. Is the statement here? So,
you got to remember the qualifier that he needs health insurance, right?
Yeah.
And if left to their own devices, I mean, prior to the Affordable Care Act, we saw that small businesses are not particularly inclined to pay out the cost to provide their employees with health insurance.
Is that the issue?
Exactly.
Okay. So if I may, the government created the problem that it then solved, and this is what it does every single time, right? Government had an income tax, a 90% income tax on at some point in its past, and companies were forced to offer perks rather than money to their top executives. Once their top executives got it, then it trickled on down to the workers underneath and that sort of thing, until it became sort of this premise. The idea that a corporation should be that your employer should be paying for your health care is really kind of ridiculous. You should, but the problem is that health care has gotten so expensive because of government mandates and all these other things that you can't pay for it. So we're all in this sort of catch-22 that the government created, and now it's here to save us.
Exactly, and my problem now is that I can't escape from the system. So I must provide, as a good father, I must provide health care to my children. And the only way that I can afford that is to work for a corporation or make tons of money, which I can't do that without, working for a corporation or working for kind of the man.
I'm not sure that's true. So have you checked into health share programs?
I have, and it's not the level of care that I need.
Okay, well, my understanding of the health share is they'll offer whatever level of care you need, and the costs are significantly lower
for whatever cost you're willing to provide. So, that's more than if I decided to leave my corporate job, which pays very well. I don't know that I could provide that level of care.
Okay, I don't know that you could or couldn't either, but. I guess as a father, I haven't paid much attention to insurance at all because, we'll try to pay it whatever it is when it comes along. And really, the government's never going to let kids go without health care. So they're already catching that. They've already got that social safety net in place.
And maybe a social safety net is what we need.
Oh, I don't think so.
At some level.
You mean something like Medicaid, Something along those lines?
This is what the problem they created, remember?
I remember very well, yes. I mean, if we didn't have this licensing system, if we allowed people to get like a 4-year degree in some sort of health, and, you don't need a doctorate to diagnose the flu.
Well, it'd be
right.
MD.
Sure.
So my question is, if I want to innovate as an engineer, right? So I have invented things.
Mm-hmm.
If I want to go do that, should there not be some system that lets me go invent things and do what I want to and be able to have some safety net that protects me and my children to be able to go do it?
Well, you take risk that you can't handle the consequences of.
Well, wait a minute. Isn't that what Mark was talking about with the health share thing? That's like a non-insurance kind of competitor to insurance, basically, sort of like a mutual aid society. Isn't that what it is, Mark? Aren't you part of one of these things or something?
I looked into it. I was at one point. I'm not now.
You were, okay.
I did join.
Okay.
I am not now.
Why did you leave?
Because they can't cover you outside the United States, and I'm spending a certain amount of time elsewhere.
Interesting.
That kind of thing.
Okay, gotcha. Brad, I mean, it sucks, but
going to the doctor in Mexico costs $15.
Yeah, it's no big deal.
This is really a government-created problem.
Unfortunately, right. So the government gang drove up the cost of healthcare like insane levels because they've got insane levels of regulation on that business. They control the supply of doctors. They control the medicines available in the marketplace. There's all kinds of restrictions on, hospitals and nurses. There's so many different government regulations, and all that brings up the costs. And so they've driven insurance companies out of business. Insurance companies have combined together. They've gobbled each other up. There aren't that many of them left, so there's not a lot of choice in the marketplace.
I'm not even sure where the government stops and the insurance companies start.
Right, it's getting blurrier and blurrier, and now there's mandates. You have to have insurance, and so on and so forth. And it's very frustrating. And of course, it's never easy for somebody to strike out on their own. Even if you knew what you were going to do with healthcare, you still have to figure out what you're going to do to make money. And that's really the big challenge, right?
And doesn't Obamacare cover families now if you did decide to go out and be an engineer?
No, the Affordable Care Act didn't give coverage to anyone. It just made it mandatory.
Yeah, it did. It'll pay for coverage for people who have a sufficiently low income.
No, it will provide them an exemption.
All right, but it gives them coverage.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
They still have to buy a health insurance plan.
Sure, and it will cover that.
They're going to pay for your health insurance plan?
Yes. It's subsidized.
This is the first I've ever heard of this aspect of the Affordable Care Act.
All right.
And you work a job.
Yeah.
And he doesn't.
Nope, I don't.
But hey, I can be wrong.
Yeah, could be wrong. But, regardless, government medical coverage is probably crappy because it's from the government. So I wouldn't expect much to come out of that. Brad, I don't really have any good news for you here. It's not easy to strike out on your own, number one. So, that's the real challenge, is figuring out how you can be an engineer and, go after the things that you want to do the things you want to do, and actually make money off of them. And, if you invent some amazing stuff and it catches on, then maybe that'll work. But, that's hit and miss. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of misses before the hit happens. And I wish you the best, and thank you for the call tonight. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. It's obviously too late, but, if you want more independence, don't have children. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. You can take control of the airwaves. Also, man, don't bring kids into this world today, man. This is awful what they're doing to these kids.
Have you ever thought about turning your Glock, XD Family, or 1911 handgun into a semi-automatic carbine? It only takes about 30 seconds. The MacTech Carbine Upper is classified as an accessory and can be delivered right to your doorstep with no FFL or background check required. It's the world's most versatile pistol accessory. Build your custom upper today. Simply go to handgunconversion.com. That's handgunconversion.com.
Survival food alert and a quick heads up. In an emergency situation, there may be a time you need to have an easy to transport, easy to conceal, almost perfect food to survive. You'd want a food that is so nutritionally dense that a couple of tablespoons per day is all you need to live on. And by that, I mean truly living well, staying smart, even strong for extended periods of time. So if you're looking for a standalone, super dense superfood, or you just like to protein up your own food supplies, check this out. This superfood has 58 times the bioavailable iron of spinach, chock full of B vitamins, twice the chlorophyll of wheatgrass, 25 times the antioxidant power of carrots. And the phenolic phytonutrient compounds? Well, 31 times more than blueberries, a whopping 700 times more than apples. Go to bluegreenbooster.com, bluegreenbooster.com. Get maximum nutrition with minimum weight and bulk. bluegreenbooster.com.
Silver has always been nature's very own antibiotic, and only one system allows you to generate an endless supply of natural silver solutions. Silverlungs.com. You'll find no wild claims or pseudoscience, just a lifetime of nano-sized pure silver solutions. The Silver Lungs generator allows you to make your own, so stop paying for silver solutions. The unique lung delivery system targets respiratory infections where other silver solutions simply cannot reach. See the Silver Lungs generator and lung delivery system at silverlungs.com. That's silverlungs.com.
Hi, I'm Derek J. I don't want a politician to represent me. To me, government is the idea that one group of people can coerce everyone to comply with an edict or face increasing punishments up to and including death. Despite perhaps the most noble of intentions, the best government services are a far cry from what could be provided for by voluntary interactions. Besides, the people who call themselves the government wage wars and put peaceful people in jail for crimes involving no victims. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
Yeah, it's Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything you want here. The toll-free number is 855-450 free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. With you in the studio tonight, it's Ian,
Aria,
and Mark.
So, Mark, you done some research on the whole Obamacare thing. You were saying that it provided coverage, but now you can't find any evidence of it, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was. It's talking about a subsidy calculator here, suggesting that a subsidy exists, and then when I drag the income down low enough, it says you may be eligible for Medicare, and that's about it. Medicaid. I'm sorry, Medicaid. Yeah. And that's really about it. So maybe under Trump, he got rid of the mandate for being involved. You know, there's no fine.
You're just speculating. You don't know, though, right?
It's right. Okay. I can tell you this is that the
Aria
fine
was right. You were wrong.
I'm not at this point in time. Aria is right, and I am wrong. However, I am not willing to concede that at no point was there not a subsidy for Medicaid, or excuse me, for Obamacare. And if anybody can verify and corroborate that, they're welcome to call in at 855-450-3733. But I know that we haven't paid for insurance the whole time, and previously we were paying a fine under the Obama administration. We're not now under Trump.
So a little bit more on Uber and Lyft and what's going on out there in California with a major court case deciding that they now have to treat all of their contractors as employees. They may be shutting down in the state as a result. Lyft's CEO, this is an article from BusinessInsider.com, told investors that rides taken in California account for roughly 16% of the company's total trips.
I was curious as to how big of a market California was for them, and I figured it was quite large.
It's going to be a big hit, but, they could probably survive without them. And that's what they're talking about doing. Now, they are, of course, filing an appeal in the case, and we'll see how that goes. But Uber is banking on voters this November to determine their fate. According to the story over at CNBC.com, this November, voters will be deciding on Proposition 22, which would exempt drivers for app-based transportation and delivery companies from being considered as employees. Uber has argued that its drivers prefer working as independent contractors, though the Attorney General in California, again, this used to be the job for Kamala Harris, Xavier...
I thought she was just San Francisco.
Oh, really? I thought she was the whole California Attorney General.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Oh, I thought she was like a big deal.
Know.
Okay. Well, anyway, maybe somebody can check that for me. California AG Xavier Becerra rejected that claim as a bogus argument. And the CEO of Uber emphasized that pausing service in the state would leave thousands of drivers without the income they would typically earn from Uber. Still, ridership has been down during the pandemic anyway, which the judge made the injunction to come at what is perhaps the least worst time for Uber and Lyft to adjust their business models. Yes, Mark?
District Attorney of San Francisco from 2004 to 2011.
Thanks for the
Attorney General of California from 2011 to 2017.
Okay, so she was the AG for the whole state.
So we were both wrong and both right.
Becerra said in an interview on CNBC he was unconcerned about the potential for Uber to leave the state as a result of the order. He said, quote, any business model that relies on shortchanging workers in order to make it probably shouldn't be anywhere, whether California or otherwise. Well, look, Uber and Lyft have no problem getting people to go drive for them. And there's no shortage of these drivers in a lot of places, and that suggests...
And all this jerk wants to do is take away people's choices. People are choosing to work for Uber, and they're choosing to do it for a reason. And this guy proposes that Uber
knows best.
Yeah, that he knows best. He knows what they should be getting paid. Well, I know what they're going to get paid if Uber leaves California.
Zero.
They're going to get paid zero. And but he has a victory because he's, yay, unions! Because his people who are paying him are, their jobs are more secure because they're not being competed against by people who want more flexible hours and all that stuff.
So, according to the Business Insider story, and we talked about this gig work law that California passed recently. They were trying to pass a new statute to reclassify gig workers as employees. Lyft and Uber looked at the law and said, well, we don't believe this applies to us. And so then the state's top ride-sharing regulator determined that that was not the case in a June ruling, and a group of city attorneys from California cities, including Los Angeles, San Francisco, and San Diego, filed suit against the companies over the issue in May. The two companies have a long history of making and in some cases acting on similar threats about leaving markets when faced with regulations they don't like.
Yes, they have left markets.
That's right. Researchers from California, Berkeley noted that in 2018, Lyft and Uber used similar tactics in Chicago, Houston, Austin, and San Antonio in response to the city's efforts to require drivers to undergo more rigorous background checks in order to work for the platforms. We reported on the Austin story when that happened.
Now, California is a much larger market for them.
Yep.
But do they have any plans on what to do in this circumstance? Is there any foreshadowing?
Imagine how much they would save on attorneys, though, if they just left California.
Well, they're going to still pay a ton on the attorneys elsewhere. They're under fire from all fronts.
Yeah, countries, states, municipalities. It's not pretty.
I don't doubt that, but a lot of it's coming from California.
Right now it is, yeah.
Well, as far as what their plan is, Mark, the operator or the CEO did say, and I had it here just a moment ago. So, okay, here's what I missed. He said Uber may later resume service in the state. If it does, it would be more likely centered in cities, which would mean limited availability in less concentrated areas such as suburbs. Now, the reason for that, of course, seems obvious to me, because in the cities, they know they're going to have some consistent demand for rides, so therefore they could schedule employees to be on the clock during the times at which they know they're going to be busy.
Right, but if you're sitting out in the woods of Casterville, and you're wanting to give rides to people, and you could just be sitting there doing nothing.
Right. Well, right now, if you
when I was driving a cab, by the way, if I was sitting in their car and there were no calls, I would get paid zero.
Nothing. That's what it should be.
Well, I mean, it's an arrangement, and the thing is that we need a marketplace of arrangements. Yeah. I decided that cab driving wasn't the most lucrative thing for me, or wasn't the thing that I wanted to do the most, so I found something else to do when the radio station came back online. And, that's what people should be able to do, is they should be able to come up with arrangements.
So it'll be interesting to see what the California voters say when they get to weigh in about this in about 3 months from now. David in New Mexico, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, fun and games in New Mexico. Of course, this one's actually entertaining. I was researching this judge, Felicia Blea, which is B-L-E-A, Rivera, who presided over a hearing I had the other day. And I looked her up, and I did a Google search on her name, and then I clicked on images, and there's like 3 or 4 images of her. And one of them is when she was accepting her position, and she's pictured with 3 other people, a Judge David Murphy, a Judge Sandra Engel, and a Judge Brittany Maldonado Malat, I think it is. Anyway, and I have a history with all 4 of them. And 3 out of the 4 I actually have actionable legal cause against them. All 3 of them prejudice themselves in ways we don't have time to go into. But I've been before all 3 of them. There's funny stories in all of them. And Brittany's husband, I partied with him.
Okay. Where was the good story? Because that wasn't really that good.
God.
Well, here's a good one. So I've
been in front of a lot of judges too. It's not that interesting.
Sandra Engel. I was in her courtroom, and I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden I noticed that, and this is public record, court record. Kurt Odin Elich was just sitting 10 feet from me, and there was an existing judge's order of no contact.
Doesn't matter. Keep going.
There's a judge's order that he not contact me, and he stalked me into the courtroom to watch my court hearing. And I tried to notify the judge, Sandra Engel, that this guy was violating a judge's order, and she told me to shut up. And so I said, okay, I'll take care of it myself. And I walked out of the courtroom to go get the cops. And on my way out the courtroom, she said, you should have seen what happened to the last guy that did that.
What happened to him?
Anyway. No, that she was talking about me. She was coming down on me because I dared to try to tell her that this dude was stalking me right in her courtroom against a judge's order. She tried to get me for talking out in the courtroom, and she said to everybody in the courtroom about me, guess what happened to the last guy that did that? Meaning me, trying to tell her something. So
thank you, David, for sharing your courtroom nightmares here on Free Talk Live. Don't forget to check out Aria on her campaign website. She's running for sheriff here in Cheshire County. What is the website?
Aria, fpolice.com, EFFpolice.com.
EFFpolice.com. Are you coming out to the mask event on Saturday?
Absolutely.
Right,
I won't be there for the entire thing because it's like 5 hours long.
Yeah.
But
you going for the beginning?
No, I'll come for the end.
Okay, gotcha. Right on. Hey, we're out of time for tonight. We will see you online. In the meantime, you can join us over at freetalklive.com. Don't forget, you can get interactive on our Discord server with other Free Talk Live listeners. They're there around the clock. Discord.lrn.fm. See you tomorrow.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had got involved sooner? Well, now is your chance to be a part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was originally supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system, the way we would all pay one another without having to trust any third party. But instead, over time, it mostly became a store of value. That's because every 10 minutes, the Bitcoin network must put all transactions into a block, and that block can only hold so much. If crypto is to become mainstream for people to use it for everyday payments, we need a new architecture. one that is as secure as Bitcoin while being far more scalable. Check out innercoin.org to find out more and maybe pick up some of those coins for yourself.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
The latest episode of Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock is next after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Appearing as a team, I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. Presumptive Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden and his vice presidential pick, Senator Kamala Harris, with a joint appearance this afternoon in Delaware. Biden slammed President Trump for calling Harris nasty.
She's under attack with this administration. Kamala Harris has had your back, and now we have to have her back. She's going to stand with me in this campaign, and all of us are going to stand up for her.
Harris took aim at the Trump administration for what she said is its mishandling of the pandemic.
More than 165,000 lives that have been cut short. Many with loved ones who never got the chance to say goodbye. It didn't have to be this way.
The Biden campaign says in the 4 hours after Harris was announced as the running mate, they raised $11 million. At a wide-ranging news conference this afternoon, President Trump defended his executive order suspending the payroll tax.
The Democrats didn't want to do a payroll tax. They thought it was too much money, I guess, or it would make businesses too successful. They don't want to see success. They certainly don't want to see it before the election.
Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer has warned the suspension of the payroll tax would lead to the end of Social Security and Medicare. Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison is asking a federal judge to try 4 fired Minneapolis police officers jointly in the death of George Floyd, arguing the evidence against them is similar and a single trial would spare witnesses and family members from the trauma of multiple trials. The U.S. military accusing Iran of boarding a civilian ship in international waters in the Persian Gulf. The oil tanker had a Liberian flag. CENTCOM says it was near the Strait of Hormuz. America is listening to Fox News.
Who knew that the same company that made the twist ties around your loaf of bread also made the face shield delivered to your front door? Packaging solutions provider Bedford Industries stepped up in a big way during the pandemic